I will call to order. This is the Citrus County Planning and Development Commission public hearing for Thursday, February 19th, 2026 at 9 a.m. If you'd like to join us at this time, I invite you to please stand for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Dear Lord, please give us the grace to be understanding, patient, and tolerant. With these attributes, we can conduct our work in a manner which will be pleasing to Thee, our county, and its residents. In the Lord's name, amen.
Amen. Okay, at this time, we would ask that for the courtesy of the applicants, board, and those around you, at this time, please place all your cellular devices on mute. Can we have the roll call, please?
Yes, ma'am. The following Planning and Development Commission members are present. Jeanette Collins, first vice chair. Michael Facemeyer, second vice chair. Richard Barmez, Stuart Bozeman, Robert Shera, Kurt Stone, alternate Janice Murphy, and School Board Representative Chuck Dixon.
Thank you. If any person decides to appeal any decision made by the commission with respect to any matter considered at this hearing, he or she will need to record the proceedings, and for such purpose, he or she may need to ensure that a verbatim record of the proceedings is made, which record includes testimony and evidence upon which the appeal is to be based. During the public input portions of the meeting, individuals are given 3 minutes, and representatives of an organization are given 5 minutes. When anyone wishing to speak comes to the podium, please complete a yellow form to hand to the recording secretary. Please print your name, address, and number of the application for which you are speaking on the form. The yellow forms can be found on the podium by the door. Comments will be limited to the topic being heard. If representing an organization, a letter of authorization must accompany the speaker. And then please state your name, spell your last name, and give your address for the taped record. At this time, we will open to the public. This is an opportunity for you to come forward and address the commission. This would be on any issues that you may wish, but it's not for any of the applications that are being heard today. You'll have an opportunity when those are presented. Do we have anybody that wishes to come up? First, second, third call? Okay. Being none, then at this time, we would close that public portion. We did not have any minutes, so, okay, we'll move forward to staff announcements.
Thank you. PUD 2025-00015, Matt and Nia John for Property Doctor LLC was on our original agenda. That applicant has requested a continuance, so it's not in your packet today. Mr. Landon, did you have anything else to provide?
Just that the comprehensive plan is steadily moving along. The public input period is starting to wind down, so if you want to make your voice be heard, make sure to get on their website, do the survey, put something on their idea board. Our final workshop will be on the 3rd here at in this room at 5:30. So if you can make it, that'll be the last public workshop we'll have.
Thank you.
I do thank Ms. Collins, newly elected first vice chair, stepping into chair because the chair is out, so thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks. And any help's appreciated, too. We will now move on to County Attorney for ex parte communication.
Yes, good morning, Commissioners. With regard to the 3 applications on your agenda today, have you had any ex parte communications you need to disclose? And we'll start over there with Mr. Dixon.
No, ma'am. None. Site visits.
Site visits. Site visits.
None.
Site visit?
None.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, we'll now move on to the applications. Item J, 1 for land use applications A, conditional use 2025-00010. This is Dennis Karcher for Crystal River Eagles Area 4272 Incorporated. Is the applicant present? Okay. We'll start with the staff introduction, and then you can work your way up to the podium.
Good morning. This request is to allow for an accessory use to a fraternal organization in the medium-density residential district. This is an aerial view of the subject property and a close-up view of the existing building. This is looking east and west on Grover Cleveland Boulevard. This is looking across Grover Cleveland Boulevard. And this is the site plan as proposed that was submitted by the applicant. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the applicant, if you can please come forward and state your name and address for the record, and then you can make your presentation.
Okay, Dennis Karcher, 5011 South Pastel Point, Homosassa. This is for the Eagles Club. You know, we need a bigger parking lot, and that's what we're here for, to get a bigger parking lot. Mother's Day, Father's Day, Christmas, Thanksgiving, you know, we give free dinners out. We give out dinners to needy people, and that's the time we need the extra parking. So we're really looking forward to the parking lot. And then hopefully we can put a deck on there, but now, can I answer the lady's concerns, or does that go at another time?
Yes, so we did have a letter from somebody. This is an appropriate time to answer. Yes, you can respond to those concerns.
Her concerns, and one of the things she says is the parking lot, and that's what we're here for. You know, we're here for the parking lot, number one. And then she says noise. I've been going there 6 years, and I've never heard the noise coming out of my car into the club. You know, the best thing is on a Friday night, we have a one person come and sing. We're all over 70 years old. We play songs, a little oldies, and maybe a little country. But I've never heard noise, because when I'm in the parking lot talking to somebody, I can hear the road noise, but I've never heard noise coming out of the building. You know, they all want to come there and they talk about Medicare. You know, it's not like there. And the septic tank she's talking about, yes, we've addressed that. Our septic tank is fine. And then I don't know where she come up with the 120 people seating, but if we need, we've already made plans and talked to several people. You know, if we have to add to it, we'll add to it. We got 9.91 acres. We're hardly using any of it. We give over $300,000 a year to Citrus County, you know, people to help, especially when the flooding was here. We gave out tons of money to hospitals, to people's electric, you know, we gave food, we do a lot for the community. So, but we do need a parking lot.
Does staff have any questions for the applicant?
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Karcher, if you could clarify, is there a plan to put any kind of bandstand on that deck?
No plans at all.
Okay, thank you. That's my only question.
Okay. Does the board have any questions for the applicant? Mr. Facemeyer?
Mr. Karcher, does the club regularly have outside activities, and if they don't now, will they in the future if you add the deck?
No, the answer to that is no, because inside where we serve the food, you know, we don't serve food every day, but, you know, where the food is and all that's non-smoking, that's where they always put it. You know, we don't put nothing on the outside.
But if you put a deck, even a small deck, I mean, you're not going to have like Friday night music outside or something like that.
No, I can promise you that.
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Mr. Shara?
Good morning. Since you've been there 6 years, have you had any complaints from the neighbors regarding noise or other issues?
No, I don't even know. You know, you can't even see a house from where we're at. Like I say, we got almost 10 acres there, and there's no houses left or right. I've never heard of any complaints. And like I say, when I've walked from my car into that building, a lot of times I said, oh, we're not going to have a little music tonight, because I never hear nothing. You know, I've never, and everybody does want it low. You know, if they can't talk to each other, they don't want, you know, who's ever there.
And would you be willing to accept the condition that there would be no outside music on the deck? That seems to be a concern of a couple of local residents.
Yes, yeah, I don't see no problem at all with that.
Right, thank you.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
A couple of
Mr.
questions
Bonas.
for you, Mr. Karcher. One, how many members does your facilities have?
That I can't, I would say probably 900, but, you know, the most we ever have there, I would say is 100 to 150, you know.
Do you allow the public to come, or is it just members only?
Every once in a while we do when there's a benefit for something, you know, like when we were raising money for the people that were flooded out, you know, we would open it up to if people want to come raise money.
How many seating do you have in interior of your building?
You know, honestly, I can't answer that. It's never been filled, so I don't know. I've never even looked at the placard.
So that brings up my next question. You're wanting to put in an 1,800 square foot deck on the back. What's the exact purpose? Because I don't understand. If you got plenty of room on the inside, why do you want to expand to the outside?
Well, you know,
not
people.
Adding any kind of a venue or anything on the exterior.
Well, the main thing is mainly the women. They're always cold in there. Just to go outside, you know, sit outside. In Florida, everybody wants to sit outside. You know, and some of the smokers might want to go out there, but yeah, we have no intention, you know, to having bands or anything out there. There's no.
So why an 1,800 square foot deck for that purpose?
Well, just to go outside. Everybody wants a deck, you know, sit and eat or do something. You know, like you go to a restaurant, everybody wants a deck, so.
So you're saying you'll have outside dining tables out there if they want to choose to go outside to eat and smoke and drink and.
Well, we haven't got to the drinking point because we don't want people going away. So, you know, if they want to go sit outside or take a drink out there, you know, but they'd have to come back inside.
To get the repurchase. I'm
Yeah.
sure. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Any other questions? No? Okay. So at this time, we will get staff to come forward to make their staff presentation. Thank you, sir. Mhm.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Joe Hockadell, Principal Planner. So this application is a conditional use requesting to amend a previous conditional use for the Crystal River Eagles Airy. Here is the site plan as proposed. You can see in red, that is the deck area that is proposed. And to the left of that, there's some existing parking, but the big gray area is the proposed parking that they want to add. The Crystal River Eagles Airy was originally approved in 2003 for this use in the medium-density residential district. There was an update to that in 2013, which allowed an expansion to the building, which has since been permitted. And so this request is to allow for the modification for the deck and the additional parking. So this is the south side of the existing building. You can see the grass area here between the building and the parking. That's where the deck is proposed. And this is the parking, the existing parking to the south and the wooded area further on, and that is where the additional parking is proposed to be located. So this proposed use does appear to be compatible with the comprehensive plan, and as long as the conditions, if this is approved, they follow those conditions, it would be consistent with the land development code. Since this is a non-residential use, they will have to meet all the standards for small non-residential design criteria for any additions, so the parking lot, landscape buffers, and all that kind of stuff. You have any questions?
Let me start with the applicant. Does the applicant have any questions for staff? No. Okay. Do any members of the board have questions? Mr. Bozeman?
Good morning. How many parking spaces exist currently? Do we know?
I believe it is approximately 60. Thought I had that in here in
I believe it's 64, Jim.
analysis. I think it is 64 existing.
72 on.
Oh, sorry, 72?
72.
Oh, there it is, yeah, yeah.
They proposed to add 72 new.
And is that correct? They're gonna add 72 additional spaces is what they're looking for?
I believe they have 72 right now, and with this proposal, they are adding roughly 60 spaces. So the total would be about 132 if this is approved.
Okay. Accommodate a lot of vehicles, so, okay.
Mr. Facemeyer?
Joe, directly across Grover Cleveland, I would say it's on the north side. What is that operation? Is that a landfill?
That is an industrial site that I believe is operating as a C&D landfill.
It is or is it?
Is, yes, correct.
Do you know what kind of traffic that would generate?
I have no idea.
Because I visited the facility twice, or this location twice, and I never saw anything coming or going, I was just curious what was there and if it, caused any traffic.
Yeah.
Or noise,
I'm not sure if it causes any traffic or noise, but I do know it is zoned industrial and it is a landfill.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Mr. Sharrow?
Morning.
Morning.
Just a couple quick ones. On the parking, it certainly appears from the drawings and the photos, there's adequate area for parking. And in the report, we focus a lot on parking and parking lots and what they look like, with required vegetation, that type of thing. So that would apply to this application?
Yes, if this is approved, they will have to meet the standards for small non-res. So every 10 spaces have to have landscaping.
Okay. The other is the buffers, maintaining, a type C 15-foot wide at the property line and a type A at along Grover Cleveland. And they've accepted that as well.
That is currently what they're required to have as part of the existing conditional use, and so that wouldn't change. I believe the type A buffer was planted along Grover Cleveland under the previous permit, and so they will have to maintain or plant that buffer regardless of whether this is approved or not.
Okay.
So,
Best to your knowledge, have there been any complaints about noise or traffic or any other issues?
I'm not
from the neighbors?
aware of any code complaints regarding this site.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Barmas?
Hey, good morning, Joe. You touched on something that sprung me out. You said 2013, as since then, they permitted, what are you referring to with that? What did they
expansion.
permit in 2013 that wasn't already permitted?
So in 2013, they got a conditional use approval to expand the building. And so the building, as it exists right now, includes that expansion. So they got approval for that, and they did the permit to include the building expansion.
Like an after the fact or
No,
just normal? Okay.
Yep.
Now the parking lot standards, section 3745, that does cover the stormwater, correct?
they will have to meet stormwater for the additional impervious. So if they have to expand their stormwater pond, that will be something they do at permitting.
And then do we control that, the county or the Swift Mud dictate that? Or do we have standards written that they have to comply that we can put in condition?
It would be either or, so they can go to Swift Mud to permit their stormwater, or they can permit it through Citrus County.
Thank you, Joe.
Madam Chair.
Yes, sir.
Just a quick follow-up. If they're going to double the size of the parking lot, at least at some periods of time, you could see where the capacity, there'd be a significant number of more people. What about the interior, related to design of restrooms, hand washing facilities, those things? Is that all covered in the normal permitting process?
I believe that would all fall under Florida Building Code for the building itself.
Would that, if is there going to be a review of that process as well?
My understanding is if they're not changing anything within the building, then the building division is not going to review that.
Okay, thanks.
Mr. Stone?
Is there any exterior lighting out there?
Not to my knowledge, but if they add any, it will have to meet the standards in small non-res.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Joe. Okay, we'll now open the public portion of the meeting. If there is anyone present who would like to speak on this application, please come forward to the podium. And just as a reminder, individuals have 3 minutes, organizations have 5. When speaking on the application, please address the board. If you have any documentation that you want to be entered into the record, please provide a copy to our recording secretary. You can please come up now. Do we have anybody?
Madam Chair, does the applicant have any questions of staff?
I am sorry. Does the applicant have any questions of staff? I know at this time. Okay. Okay, you can come up. Thank you.
My name is Carrie Ann Krieger. I live in the property directly behind the Eagles Club. Can you bring that up so we could see the lot? And I can,
It's one of his very first slides, Cheryl.
I think it was the first one.
Keep going. Oh,
I don't have the area.
it's, I'm sorry, it must be yours on the coordinator one.
Give me just a second.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Okay, so there's 2 lots directly on that first picture below on the bottom. I'm the right side.
Okay.
So that is my house and my garage. The Eagles have not impacted my life one bit. So my only question is this, was footage-wise, are a lot of those trees going to remain between me and them? I have no concern about the noise. I've never heard them, maybe 3 times in 10 years, and that's probably when they have a bike run. And it's at appropriate times that every other place should be allowed to have a bike run. So I have no issues with the Eagles Club. I have no issue if they play music and they follow noise ordinances. Everyone should be allowed to. They're a great organization. They've never been an issue for me. I know when I drive home at night, the current parking lot has exterior lighting because I can see, and it's full a lot of the times. My question is the trees. How far back do they have to remove the trees? I just don't want people at a bar drinking and then deciding to wander around and end up in my yard. That's my only concern. And people don't walk through dark woods because it's scary. So as long as there's going to be some trees there, that was my thing. But I'm pretty confident with that. I couldn't really see, but it looks like the trees back there are going to remain on that proposed. And that was my only question, was tree removal on the portion closest to my house or my neighbor's house. There is no other houses. We're the 2. The 5 acres next to me to the right of my house on this diagram is vacant. I don't know of a house on their property next to them, and that's 20 acres next to them. It's all been vacant. So I'm the closest one, realistically, to their property besides the house was there. They were there first. They should do their thing. I've been there for 10 years. So that's my only question. Can someone answer me about the trees on that site development?
The applicant will have an opportunity to answer that when we receive all public comment. Thank you.
Okay, that is all I want to know. Thank you.
Okay. Next. Anybody else wish to speak on behalf of this application? Third time. Anybody else? Okay. We'll now close this portion. The applicant could come up to answer questions for rebuttal.
Oh, there's going to be plenty of trees. We have, if you look at that, 9.91 acres. You know, there's tons of trees in there. And we're trying to do our drawings where we have to go 10 spots, leave 400 square feet. We're trying to leave as many trees in that area as we can. So, you know, which will help with drainage, and it also saves money. But no, we're trying to incorporate as many trees as we can.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll now close the public portion, and we'll bring the discussion back to the board. Do any board members wish to discuss? Mr. Bozeman?
Probably should have asked this of staff, but any fire code concerns with additional parking, bringing additional people? I'm sure the building is limited by the fire marshal, how many people can occupy that building. Would staff be the one who would work with the fire department to make sure that that's done correctly? That's a concern. I don't think it's a major concern, but I think it would probably be handled. But I'd like to know. I think this organization does good work, and I think it would be a good thing from my standpoint. That's all I've got.
Mr. Barmas?
Yeah, I think I'd be in favor in this application. I believe the fire question that you brought up, Commissioner Bozeman, would be something that he has 100 members average that shows up there with 60-some seating on the inside. So I think they're just looking for a little bit of an expansion, a little bit of elbow room. I was initially concerned about the 1,800 square foot deck, but when you think about the process that you have to go through to get a deck expansion, let's do it now, and maybe we'll grow, and if we grow, we'll grow into the deck instead of building something small and having to come back to us. So I would be in favor of that. I respect everything that the Eagles had did during the hurricanes. I was down there seeing them give out money and help out people that was in need. So I think they're there for a good reason. I don't think they're going to disrupt. They haven't disrupted anything yet. So I would be in favor for this.
Okay, Mr. Sharrow?
I'm also in favor of this. I had some concerns regarding noise, regarding light, pollution to the neighbors. Although the lot is deep, it's not very wide in terms of the adjoining properties. And since they have had they've had no issues to date that we're aware of. The neighbors have not stepped forward and said that there is an issue with noise today. My only concern to Mr. Bozeman's comment was if you double the size of the parking lot, what's going to happen inside in the capacity? Hence my question to Joe earlier. But those are issues that can be managed. There's regulations that exist for those, so I will support this.
Mr. Facemeyer?
I visited this location on 2 occasions, and on both occasions, the parking lot was absolutely full on just a normal weekday. So certainly the need is there. The applicant has addressed the concerns of the board, so I too plan to support this application.
Mr. Stone?
I have no issue.
Comments? Okay, Ms. Murphy?
I have no issues with it.
Okay.
Madam Chair, for the
Calling
purpose
the
of a motion, the Planning and Development Commission finds application number CU-2025-00010 consistent with the Citrus County Comprehensive Plan and the Citrus County Land Development Code, and the board approves with conditions the application based on the evidence and testimony presented and the staff report and conclusions regarding this petition. It has been determined that approving the proposed conditional use will not adversely affect the public interest that there is compliance with special rules governing individual conditional uses of the type involved, that the proposed development with the conditions and safeguards attached would be generally compatible with the adjacent properties and other property in the district, and that the PDC is empowered under the section of the LDC described in the application to grant this conditional use.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Scherer. Do we have a second? Mr. Bozeman.
Excuse me, for clarification, is that with the additional condition of no outdoor music or bandstand? That was not in the staff report, so I just want to make sure.
Yeah, I would like, yes, I think that's appropriate.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Bozeman, you agree with that? Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor, call
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Okay, motion carries 7-0. Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, we'll move on to item J2A, PUD 2025-00014, Paul Furman for Stillwater Estates, Inc. Okay, well, we will start with the presentation, or do we need Mr. Furman? We can move forward, right? If we have
If Mr. Ponticos wants to wait until after the next application, we can do that, or we can.
I think that's fine. Let's do that.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
okay, so what we're doing is we are moving this application to the end. We have one other one. So we will move on to PUD 20. Okay.
You didn't speak fast enough.
So, yeah, I wasn't fast enough. So we'll move back to J2A, the PUD 2025-00014. Mr. Furman is here, so we can move on to the staff presentation or staff introduction. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Good morning again. This request is to modify an existing master plan to allow for an additional recreational vehicle spaces. This is an aerial view of the subject property. This is a view of the RV park entrance from South MacArthur Terrace. This is looking north on South MacArthur Terrace. This is a view of the maintenance and storage entrance from South MacArthur Terrace. This is looking south on South MacArthur Terrace. This is the master plan proposed by the applicant. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Furman, you can now come up, state your name for the record, address, and your presentation. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Paul Furman with Furman Civil Designs. I'm also representing Stillwater Estates and Stillwater Preserve RV Resort. This project was originally approved in 2016. That master plan had 379 RV sites and 55 cabins for a total of 430 units. Phase 1 was completed last year and includes 242 RV sites, the clubhouse and swimming pool, 4 bathhouses, an assembly pavilion, walking trails, pickleball courts, a dog park, horseshoe court, street golf, and opportunities for canoeing, kayaking, fishing, and bird watching. All sites have central water and sewer, Wi-Fi and cable TV. There are solar-powered streetlights and an entrance gate. I have some slides that I'd like to have shown now. So this is an aerial view of the existing Phase 1, looking from Homosassa Trail north. This is looking south at Phase 1. This is the entrance off of Homosassa Trail and MacArthur Terrace. MacArthur Terrace was a Lime Rock Road, and the developers of Stillwater Preserve RV Resort upgraded it to county standards so that it could be a nice entrance. This is the clubhouse. There's a pool behind the clubhouse. This is one of the existing ponds behind the clubhouse. There were two wetland crossings for phase one. They constructed these kind of nice bridges. You can kayak or canoe underneath them. This is the assembly pavilion in the recreational area. This is pickleball courts. You've seen this slide before. This is the entrance to the proposed outdoor storage area and the existing maintenance building. This is looking north from that entrance at the proposed outdoor storage area. The maintenance building is on the left, and on the right is a 10-foot high earth berm, which is along the eastern boundary of the property. This is the maintenance building, unfinished, but partly constructed just recently. Again, this is looking north at the proposed outdoor storage area. There's already some lime rock there, but it'll be developed further. The earth berm is shown on the right. This is the water plant, which is also in this same area. This is an existing drainage retention area at the north end of the proposed outdoor storage area. Most of the runoff from this outdoor storage area will be going here. This is existing wetland / pond area just to the west of the outdoor storage area, at the north end of it, looking south toward the RV park. This is a typical RV space with a concrete pad, picnic table, water and sewer, electric hookups. So this is a typical bathhouse. There's the parking in front of the clubhouse. The striping has been modified to allow for golf carts. And as they're finding out, a lot of people have e-bikes now when they're camping.
That's the end.
Okay, thank you. So there have been two minor revisions to the master plan. The first was for a modification of the parking area on the clubhouse to allow for the golf carts. Also to add an entrance gate, to create a vehicle turnaround outside of the entrance gate, and to reconfigure the recreational facilities. The second minor modification was to add a maintenance building, which you've seen a picture of that. So this application is for two major modifications to the master plan. The first modification is deleting the 55 cabins on the northerly phase 3 part of the property, and instead constructing 213 RV sites in that same area. This is an increase of 158 units. The second modification is the addition of an outdoor boat and RV storage area along the east property line just north of the dog park and near the maintenance building. The staff report states that there will be an increase of 213 RV spaces. This is true, but it should also be looked at as an increase of 158 units since 55 cabins are no longer proposed. Each of the cabins were also a greater demand on water and wastewater facilities than a typical RV site. The phase 2 area to the west of the existing phase 1 is unchanged from the original and will include 133 RV sites and a bathhouse. Could you bring up that slide of the master plan?
Outworking you this morning, Cheryl.
Yeah, making sure I'm paying attention.
Should be if you want to zoom in, it should be the top button.
Is this a pointer or a zoomer?
Both.
How do you point?
Should be the top button on there.
Okay.
And I think you got to face it towards this TV.
Got to slide it over just a little more.
Well, anyway, the phase 2 area is in the southwest part of the plan there. There's no changes to that. The major changes are on the north part there, which is phase 3, and then along the east boundary line where the outdoor storage area is. So once again, the phase 3 area had previously only the 55 cabins. With the proposed modification, it will have 213 RV sites, a second clubhouse and pool, and other recreational amenities. Outdoor storage area is about 0.9 acre. There will be revised improvement plans submitted for this and other improvements in that area. But first, some additional surveying will be needed. We're glad to answer any questions you might have. Also, Steve Ponicos, as you know, is here. He can tell you about how well the RV park is being run right now.
Start with staff. Does staff have any questions of the applicant?
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Furman, are you familiar with the conditions that are listed in the staff report, and do you have any issues with those?
Yes, no, they're fine.
I think that was my only question.
Okay, thank you. Questions by the board? Mr. Bozeman? I'm sorry.
I've got a few. So you want to change the phase 3 from 55 cabins, eliminate, and then go to 213 RV sites, just to be clear.
Yes, sir.
What's driving that? Economics?
Well, Steve Ponicos can tell you more about that.
For sure. When we first designed Stillwater, we bought the property in 2003.
Excuse Mr. Ponicos, can you just state your full name
My
for
name
the
is
record?
Steve
and your-
Ponticos. I've been a Citrus County resident for over 50 years.
Thank you.
When we bought the property in 2003, we were going to build a land development. We were familiar since we helped develop Sugar Mill Woods. We found that piece. It was a preserve. It was actually advertised as Homosassa Preserve, 176 acres. So we bought it with the idea of building homes. The recession, collapse in 2008 changed our thinking. We land banked it. 2012, we came up with the idea through my son to look at possibly doing an RV resort. We studied it. We went around the state. We went around the southeast looking at different RV parks, mainly Disney, Fort Wilderness, looking at what they did and how they developed it, how they could preserve land and still have units being built. So that's what we started laying out. We laid out, hired Paul Furman. My partner, Larry Tate, designed a layout, which you see now, preserving the beauty and the wildlife in Stillwater. The idea was to have RV sites and cabins. Disney did that model. We said, hey, if they could do it, we could do it, and that's a great idea. And so that's how we laid it out, and that's what we did. We have, in phase 1, we have 13 lakes or ponds. And we have got an agreement with Swiftmud that we were able to do wet DRAs. And we have fountains in every one of them. Also working with mosquito control, who has taken care of the property since 2003. And they stocked all the ponds. So our lakes or ponds are loaded with bass. The wildlife is absolutely incredible. This is a picture you can pass around. This picture was taken a week ago by a resident, one of our visitors. And it shows an otter with a little fish in its mouth. That is typical of what you'll see. When you go in there, it's like you're in a wonderland of animals. You'll see eagles, you'll see hawks, You'll see red, what's it called? The sandhill cranes. You'll see blue heron. You'll see every kind of wildlife that is imaginable. Because what we have done is we have saved all the woods around it, all the preserve around it. And then the areas, instead of having back-to-back concrete like all these other RV parks have, we decided to put in lakes or water. So every RV backs on water or backs on a preserve. And that's why we've maintained it this way. So getting to the question of why did we have to, we found that as residents came in this last year, the one thing that we found is that they all said, why don't we have more park models? Why don't we have places that they can utilize instead of having an RV? Well, so why do you want a park model? And they say, well, after we get to a certain age, we can't RV any longer. And we cannot take a fifth wheel and pull it. So when I get to be 76 or 80 years old, I'm coming from New York, Canada, Chicago. They're coming down here. They can't do it. So they want to still be in. And so we told them, we said, well, we got cabins. We're going to have cabins in future phases. Well, we don't want that. We want to be with our friends. We want to be right around. And so then we started looking around, and we found that all the RV resorts are changing their model. Disney took out all those cabins the way they did it, and they intermingled the park models, which they've designed to look like RVs, but they're designed like little apartments right on the site. They fit exactly on the site. So when we saw that and we started studying it, we said, hey, that makes sense. So that was what drove the idea of making that change. If you look at the roads and you look at how we did it, and
So that's,
pass this out, just so you
No,
know.
hang on.
So that's a good answer.
Just, no, please. Unfortunately, we can't do this. Just a reminder, we have our quasi-judicial ordinance, and we can't be accepting stuff passed out at the meeting. I know y'all looked at that already.
Okay,
You
I'm
can
sorry.
hold things up and do the
That's
very
all right.
right thing, but
Can we, for the record, at least enter those, or because we already looked at it, or no?
I think we,
It was a otter and a fish.
yeah.
That was otter and
Of
fish.
an otter.
I can show this like this.
Thank you.
Okay, this is showing an artist's rendering of what it's going to look like, and you can see all the blue and you can see all the green. If you take all the green and all the preserves that we have and all the blue, well over 50% of our land mass has been preserved. And if you drive into Stillwater right now and look at the residents there, and the picture Paul showed you is a full shot of 240 units out of the 242 that are there. And just to tell you the response, we had a deadline as of February 15th for people who were there to reserve for next year. We had, as of yesterday, just at 200 people reserving for next year already signed up. And we made them sign up for a minimum of 3 months. And that's what they've done.
So good pitch. And it makes sense. No, it makes sense. I mean, you've modified with the changing times, and that's a business decision, totally understandable. So you're going from 55 cabins to 200. What was 158 increase in total units. Concerns, I guess, are potable water. Do you have adequate supply? Okay, you've got a well with a treatment system. Are you going to have to increase the size of the well or anything like that?
In our application package, there's documentation about the capacities of the well and water plant.
Yeah.
And the project is connected to Citrus County Sewer, so there'll be more collection system installed, and the county has provided a letter of adequate capacity.
So every toilet that flushes is going into the county's wastewater treatment system.
That's correct.
That's a good thing. I don't want to steal anybody else's question, but how many total sites are you going to have when it's all? What's the total build-out count?
430.
Okay. Last but not least, any plans or any requirements for turn lanes coming on and off the main road into the facility? I don't believe there are none there now. Is that correct?
There are turn lanes in both directions there now.
That's a good answer. I
Left
like to
turn
hear
and
that.
right turn lane.
Okay. I may have more, but that's good for me right now. Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Mr. Shara.
this is a hard act to follow, but I'll try to build on some comments that are made. Let's look at that drawing. We are talking about exclusively Phase 3, correct? If we look at the site plan?
Proposed modifications are for Phase 3 area and the outdoor storage area, which is along the east boundary line.
Sorry, I haven't got the outdoor storage yet. Just for the additional RV lots, those will be limited to Phase 3.
Correct.
Is Phase 2 already built out?
It's not.
Okay, so I did travel out there, but I got turned around because there's no such thing as a straight line, which I think is a good thing. All right, so Phase 3, and what is the build-out timing for that?
There is no time period. It is to be done. We're laying out plans for the future. We're looking at what we can do. The immediate need was for the recreational storage for boats. That was our main emphasis to come through. When we did that, we had told Paul what we wanted to do for future, that we felt that we needed to make a switch onto cabins, and he said now would be the time to do it all at the same time.
Okay. Going back to water, because you are connected to the sanitary waste system, and you did provide calculations, which I looked at, but, like I said, oh, that's nice. Do you need to get an additional permit for the take for your makeup water, for your potable water?
You mean a swift mud
No,
consumptive
for your
use
potable
permit?
water, do you need another permit to increase the flow of potable water through your system?
No, the plant has adequate capacity to serve the additional development. The only permits that'll be needed will be for water distribution lines.
Okay, so you don't need a permit to take additional water out of the ground
No.
for your water treatment?
No, the wells are less than 6 inches, or 5 inches, so they don't require a swift mud consumptive use permit.
Okay, good, thank you. All right, now let's turn to the storage. And when I did visit the site, I got a little bit turned around there, but from the site plan, it looks like the on-site storage would be to the, I guess I'm saying to the east of your existing build-out of your lot, correct? Or by where the water treatment plant is in the garage.
Yes,
And the 10-foot berm is between the proposed outdoor vehicle storage and the adjoining residence.
yes.
And that 10-foot berm is overgrown with brush and that type of thing, which, no issue there. But I saw a comment in the staff report regarding potential plantings on top of that in addition. Do you have any issue with that?
No.
Additional traffic, and you mentioned you have turn lanes there now. And you're talking about a net 158 unit increase. I understand that there are 55 cabins and you want to build the additional 213 RV lots. Does that necessitate any further review by the state regarding traffic flow?
Not by the state, but by the county. And for the original project, there was a traffic report done by a transportation consultant. There'll need to be an update for that. But one benefit is that the original transportation report was based on data from other typical RV sites. So now, I had suggested this. We were trying to put together a quick trip count for.
Well, I did. We have cameras throughout the facility. So on Monday, I had my manager take a reading from first thing in the morning, 7 a.m. in the morning, 24 hours on Monday and on Tuesday. And the trip count was between 110, 115 on Monday and 120 on Tuesday, including employees, including the UPS, FedEx, Amazon, who come to the park on a daily basis. What we have found is that RVers have one car. They have their RV and either a car or a truck, usually something that they can go around in. And they stay. They stay at the resort. They don't go out. They go out maybe for a dinner, but the whole idea of RVing is that they stay in that area until they go out, and they go out with friends. So that was pretty consistent. Like Paul said, if we have to, when we get ready to get the permit, then we would have to do that, and we would have it officially.
Okay, thank you.
So the traffic report is based on the 379 RV sites. You can build phase 2 without having to do another traffic report, but when phase 3 is built, we'll have to update that traffic report. But by then, we'll have actual data from this park in order to either confirm or deny that the number of trips per RV site is the same or more or less. And then hopefully it's going to be less, and we won't have to modify any turn lanes, but we'll see.
Okay, so just, that's where I was going. So phase 1 and phase 2 are already included in your initial traffic study.
Yes.
To expand to phase 3 and the additional 158 units, you would have to go back and update that study.
Correct.
All right. Hey, go back to the boat storage, RV and boat storage. This is only going to be for people who are using your facility.
Yes.
And is it intended that's long-term, or is that short-term for the period that they are there?
I believe it's for,
Short-term. It's not for a long-term.
So in other words,
It's
people
not
won't be
intended
dropping
for
off their
long-term.
RV and leaving it for a season.
Or somebody who stays for 6 months might have it park their RV there for 6 months when they're back up in Canada and not driving. So the whole idea, just what I was saying before about the idea of people getting too old, they don't want to take that trek. So the next phase is they'll take their fifth wheel and park it somewhere, and they park it there for 6 months and then move it onto their site that they have reserved. So this is a way that we can get them, and if you look at any RV resort anywhere, you'll see they have storage areas. They have trailers, they have boats that they bring down, put it behind their truck when they come down, but they don't want to have those on their site if they can have an alternative. We don't have an alternative now, so you will see that they have their boat or their trailer would be right next to their RV. And that's why we're doing this, we want to do this addition.
And the maximum length of stay, 6 months?
What?
The maximum length of stay in your RV park?
The maximum length, we have people who, it's been that way, about 6 months has been the maximum. We are not like these areas out here. We're not where it's just all people staying all year round in it. This is a resort. This is somebody who's going to vacationers. So we have a very strong winter season. Our goal was to have a very strong winter season, which we've proven we've done this year. Now our next goal is to have a very strong summer season, getting the people, and what we found last year, which was enlightening, most of our people who came into the resort last summer were people within 30 miles of the resort, and they were locals. So all our advertising this summer is gearing towards that. People who are going to come up for scallop season, people are going to come up to enjoy our lakes and rivers during the summer, coming from Tampa, coming from the villages, coming from Clearwater. That's the people who are going to come here in the summer. This is a vacation spot that's very close to them. They can come up, they can park their RV, stay a weekend, they can stay a week, they can stay a month, and they can enjoy what we have in Citrus County.
For clarification, these aren't permanent.
These are not permanent.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair.
and Steve has told me that they intend to keep this as a rental park and not convert it into a condominium.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Barnes? Mr. Facemeyer, okay.
I'm not an RV person, so excuse this question if it sounds stupid, but can you explain the difference between a cabin and a park model RV? To me, a park model in my mind is something semi-permanent? And are these new sites going to include all park models, or how many?
I think according to the land development code, we're only entitled a certain percentage of sites that can be park models. Isn't that correct, Joe?
This is his presentation.
So continue.
I believe that
The question is for you.
I believe that the land development code only allows a certain percentage of the sites that can be park models.
So what is the difference between a park model and a cabin?
A park model, the fifth wheel that you see being pulled around, very big units, they get up to 43 feet. They have, when you walk in, they have a step up because of the way it's designed. So you end up having stairs in it. The park models are designed to look like an RV. They have wheels, and they are a park model that can come in, and it's designed one elevation throughout, usually has 2 bedrooms, usually has a living room and a kitchen, and it's about the same square footage as the 43, but it's designed not to be taking travel trailer throughout the country on a vacation. It's designed to wheel to the site, and it looks for every factor, it's going to look like a fifth wheel. The only difference is you can make them a little fancier. You can make them look more like a cabin-esque type of view. But it's the same footprint. That's why the size of the lots, when you have the 40-foot lots that we have, 40 by 75, that they're angled, and if you looked at the park models in an area, they would look the same. They would just look a little fancier. And that's the idea of it. Paul said that we'd have to have so many, maximum of so many. Well, you park them right amongst all the other vacationers. So if Paul and his wife are there, it can be in a park model right along with all the other RVs that are parked, and it's not going to feel out of place. The cabins, we had thought the cabins, which we would put in a totally different area and have 2 on a cul-de-sac, they would be out in the woods. We thought that would be great. That's not what the people want. They want to be amongst their friends. They want to be, the whole idea of RVing is they go outside, they barbecue outside, they talk outside, they walk their dogs outside, and they're all fairly close to each other, and that's the idea of what they come for on vacation. So to answer your question, yes, they are very similar, but they're designed to take out the flaws of the fifth wheel, and that's to
So are they permanent?
They're not.
Our
Well,
cabin
we
is
would have. We're going to have them once we have a park model there. It's going to be permanent, yes, but it's not going to be affixed to the ground on a footer or a slab or tied down.
You've confused me.
Okay, it's not,
What's the advantage to having one?
The idea of having,
Over a cabin?
the idea is that you can put them alongside of all the other RVs
So
and
you're making a cabin to look like an RV?
correct. And we're having it there, correct, and it's being there, and it can be wheeled away. It's not a fixed, when we built the cabins, we were actually gonna build cabins that were 750 square feet or whatever the square footage. They would have been bigger, and as Paul said, they would have been more like little houses. That's not the idea. The idea now is to have RVs where you go through. Some of them will be rentable park models, which we call park models, which is just like a furnished RV.
Madam Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Ponikos may or may not know this, but park models are defined in state statute, and there are very specific requirements for siting. In other words, placing a park model within the coastal areas, which I'm sure that as he gets further along in the process, he'll learn what those requirements are. And permanency is not one of those, is not allowed.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay, I'm still a little fuzzy, but that's all I
Meyer.
have for now.
Mr. Barnes?
Madam Chair. Well, they touched on the big part because a park model, I'm an avid camper. I have an RV. I travel. A fifth wheel is nothing like a park model. There is a fifth wheel, which is being pulled by the back of a pickup truck, to where a park model was affixed permanently anchored in according to Florida builder standards. So I'm kind of confused on your presentation on park model versus fifth wheel is my first question of many, but you can answer.
Yeah, I am not a camper. My partner is, sorry for not knowing, like Denise said, but the idea is that whether we put fifth wheels or the park models that I've seen, they had one on 19 that was for sale. It was what I considered, it was a unit that was designed for somebody to go in and stay in longer term, not as a fifth wheel to be driven around. So how it's affixed to it, what the code is, we would have to abide by that. It's the ability for somebody to come in and not have to drive their RV. It's like they could rent something for a 3-month period without having to tow it 1,000 miles and still be able to come with their friends and be with their friends. So that's why, so however that definition is, whatever it's gonna look like, it's a unit that's gonna be able to be fixed on that size lot and utilized for them, as Denise, I don't know what they say in the law, but it's more of it's like a cabin, but it's not like the cabins that we had thought that we were designing, because we had cabins that were going to look like cabins or look like little houses. That's not what it is. That's not what the market is driving. The people want to be able to, if you can't use your fifth wheel any longer and you still want to travel and come down from New York for 3 months, would that be an alternative to come stay at something that is actually there that you could rent? And that's what we're going for.
I'm sure we'll get a better explanation from county, because I'll have plenty of questions on that, because I do have concerns with that. But my next question is going to, pertain to your RV boat storage. Typically, in a RV that I've ever stayed, it's temporary. I can't leave my rig parked there all year. It's only for, for my car dolly or my boat trailer or something along that lines while I'm staying there. But now your testimony is that it's going to be pretty much permanent. They can leave it there for 6 months. Pretty much never going to leave your property. It'll be from a lot to the storage and back and forth over time. Is that my understanding? Is that correct, or?
There's probably, of the requests we've had for that idea, there's about 10 people who want to do that out of our 200 residents that we have. The rest of them don't want to. They don't do that. The main idea was for boats and trailers and anything that we could have. But there are some that don't want to take it any longer. They can't. So you will have a few that will be there for 4 or 5 or 6 months. The ones that do, they have increased their stay, and they're increasing their stay to be 6 months, 7 months. We envision them staying 8 months. But there will be a few months when they will not be down here at all. And so it's a convenience for them to not have to pay us the full amount of money that we're getting for the summer rates, and they could park it there for that. It's more of a convenience. It's a courtesy that we're doing for them.
All right. Then my next question, when are you going to start phase 2?
That is not on the docket right now for phase 2. We are just going on our second full year. And we want to make sure the business is a success, and we want to make sure what our needs are.
So your intent is to maybe build phase 3 before phase 2, and to see what the market is?
That's not likely, because phase 2 is pretty much all in enclosed area. It's going to be an easier area to develop. So, we're good with the idea of building phase 2 and then phase 3.
Now, when you built phase 1 and you cleared the property, how many trees was preserved during that time?
Well, if you look at the site, we had to add fill in order to bring it up to the floodplain.
Right, but I'm asking just specifically about the trees. I'm going to get to the soil in a minute. But
the trees that, I don't know how many trees that were preserved. There were trees taken out, but we didn't have, there was a lot of sand areas that we probably took out a few hundred trees back in the north section of the Butterflies. The rest of it, there were very few trees. A lot of it was lower property that we had to fill, and that's what we did. And during the storms that we had, when the hurricane hit, and everybody lost their power, and everybody was evacuating the flood, they came to us. We were high and dry because it's designed properly, because that's what it did. We didn't have sheet flow over the entire property. It did exactly what this man designed, and was to go to the DRAs, the wet DRAs. And did our ponds fill up? Yes, they filled up. Did they breach? Not even close. And it did exactly what we had hoped. And the wildlife, as I said, the trees, and the way we set up the preserves, and the way we set up that big area that you see on the screen that says wetlands, that's a transitional wetlands. That's transitioning from wetlands to uplands. If you have any environmentalists go out there, they're going to tell you that the longleaf pines are starting to take over in that area. We did not plant it. That's naturally occurring. But that is why the wildlife is so strong in there. You do have a combination of some water, and you have so many longleaf pines. It's gorgeous, and that will never be touched. And that's why it's called a preserve.
So in the area where you're wanting to build phase 3 of these park models, you're going to do a complete clear out on that?
Okay,
On that area?
That is not, we are not, I'm sorry if it's, that is not intended to be all park models. It is intended to be a combination of RV sites. That's how it's laid out, and that's where we intend to interdisperse park models amongst the RV sites.
Okay, park models, RV sites, 200 and...
It's units, how many units could be put out there?
So is that area going to be, cleared like phase 1 and totally...
You're going to have to
changed
clear because we have to put in DRAs. We have to clear for the sites themselves. But if you look at that drawing, that whole northwest corner is all preserved. Those are the biggest trees on our site. That's all preserved. The south corner of back in on phase 3 is all trees. And then you get up to the Z Lake and Tilapia Lake and up at the top, all trees around that are going to be preserved around the water basins. But when you put in the sites, yes, you're going to have to clear just like we did in phase 1.
Phase 1, you cleared them all out.
But you have to clear in order to put the units, and then you have to interdisperse. When you drive through there, you've driven through there, correct?
I have.
And you see that it's winding roads and that every view is saving the trees. That's what we've done.
As an environmentalist, are you familiar, or I'm familiar with your sand and the soil that you have there? You briefly mentioned the soil, so I'm going to bring that up. You know that Bassinger fine sand, which is majority of the sand that you have according to your soil reports that's in in our package, and Adamsville has the absolute worst drainage rate of any soil that we have. The third, you have Tavares, which is almost as bad, but not as bad. What are you backfilling it with? Because when I drove through there, what you backfilled up, in your testimony, you backfilled phase 1, but it wasn't with existing nature of that area. You brought in something from outside of the nature
What kind of
coast.
dirt was that?
It's just regular fill dirt, correct? Landfill.
There were some elevations, higher elevations on the phase 1, and there's some higher elevations on the phase 3 area that'll be borrowed from in order to fill in the lower areas. So there was really not a lot of off-site import.
And we also took when we did the ponds, the DRAs, we had to dig those out, and we used the fill. And Larry, you did not use fill that had a lot of clay or...
I'm sorry.
Sir, yeah.
If Mr. Tate's going to testify, he needs to come up to the mic, please.
So that was just my question on that. Then my other concern is, how many acres of wetlands versus our RV spaces are you trying to get?
there's a site schedule on that plan here. I can't read it from here, but I think that's included on that table there.
On the table, it says it's got 58.71 wetland total acreage. You have 58 acres of open space with 109.19 acres of upland. Does that seem?
That's about right.
So a majority of the property is going to be wetlands. I did see the wetland bridges and the way you preserve the wetlands is out there, which brings up my next question of fire. On the same page of 55, in your little keynotes, it says that the fire protection will utilize the existing ponds and include a distribution system with wet standpipes functioning as hydrants.
It's actually worked out well. The fire department's been out there and tested them, and they're satisfied with them.
So your earlier testimony is that the ponds were filled with great wildlife. You have manatees, you have,
Manatees.
or otters, my apology, otters and turtles. And what happens to that when you drain that pond for fire protection? Is there a safeguard in place for our environmental creatures that are out there?
We hope there's never going to be a fire.
Well, we expect that, but we have to have Plan B, right?
There's plenty of water in those ponds to fight any fire of an RV.
Well, now we're extended it from RVs to park models in some areas, some.
Okay, or a park.
So there's, it's gonna take more to put out I'm not a fire expert, but I would think it would take more water to put out a park model than it would be an RV, or even a big Class A. I'm just assuming, I don't know that. I'm not a fire expert, but I just wanna know what your Plan B was.
The typical fire flow rate is like 500 gallons per minute, and even if you're fighting a fire for 30 minutes, that's going to be a minimal impact to any of the volumes of those ponds.
So how many gallons do you have in your ponds?
I haven't computed it, but it's lots.
I'm a fireman. I'm hooking up to one standpipe at one pond, and that one pond is how many gallons? I mean, I'm just trying to grasp it here, because I don't think you have a Plan B, right? It's just hopefully it never has a fire as Plan B, which I hope that there's never a fire. That's never a good thing, but we have to look at everything, and I'm just asking that question for an answer.
How many fire hydrants do we have out there?
For phase one, I think there's 6 or so.
6 or so fire hydrants. So you have, if you look at the bodies of water out there, I mean, the first body of water that is on the near the clubhouse, that body of water extends north, south, with culverts going underneath the bridge. I mean, it's acres of water, and that water was natural, and that's up to 7-8 foot deep. So I don't know the volume, but to answer your question, that we could pull from that one, we could pull from, and then we've got one across the street, and then we've got another pond, dispersed throughout the whole park.
So that's the answer I was looking for. I wanted to know how deep it was, how much water was there, if there's a Plan B, if there's enough to.
Yes, sir, we have.
To put it out, because.
Idea of going through, but the fire marshals who came out there, and they were very right on top of it. They were impressed with the flow of the water. They didn't have any questions about that. I mean, they use it as a training exercise, and they showed.
And I respect that, but what I was saying is you don't have any additional fire protection that you're gonna add 213 RV spots. You haven't indicated that you needed more fire protection out there, double the size of your RVs, and that's what I was trying to get to. I don't have any further questions, madam.
Okay. Did you have any questions, Mr. Dixon? No. Okay. Mr. Stone.
I guess I would like to comment that, if Richard thinks we need a soil analysis, I know that you can do a whole lot better than just fill dirt. Okay, you can give an exact composition of what that material is, whether it's sand, clay, the organic content, the granular distribution on it. If Richard really needs that, that can be made available.
No, I wasn't looking for that. I was just looking for an answer to that.
Right.
I seen the answers in the in the packet. I just wanted to hear the answers with my ears. Thank you, Commissioner Stone.
Yeah, Ms. Murphy?
No, I have no question.
I have some questions. So you're going from 55 cabin pads to 213 RV pads. You're going to be having to modify that site. You'll be modifying your stormwater management plan, and will the pads be brought up to base flood elevation? Can you talk a little bit about the engineering of the site as it relates to stormwater runoff?
Yes, Phase 2 and Phase 3 have yet to be designed and permitted, but they will be. And similarly to Phase 1, I think the base flood elevation is like 13, and the pads and roads are at about 11. So it's understood that if there's a 100-year frequency flood, that all of the RVs will be removed. But the permanent buildings, the bathhouses, the clubhouses, those are all above the base flood elevation.
Okay, so I do know, as Ms. Lynn had stated, that RV parks are specifically defined in Florida statutes as a transient type use, and they define the different types of units. Park models are definitely defined different than the different RVs, and those typically are permanently affixed, and I'll have to ask staff about base flood elevation, because I believe those have to definitely meet them. I did not see in your backup and everything you submitted the number of park models that you were proposing. There's nothing in here. It talks specifically about, in your site schedule by phase, that you're removing the 55 cabins. You're not going to propose of 213. You mentioned that you thought I believe was total number of RVs would be 430, but according to your table, it's 588.
Sorry.
Do you know how many
Whatever the-
park models are going to be there? And
Oh, but like I said,
because it's
that's-
not in the backup. And
It's limited to what a section of the Land Development Code. Because the section on RV parks limits the number of park models to a certain percentage of the total number of spaces. We won't exceed that, and we're not asking for a higher number.
okay, one other thing in the design, it shows that you have an emergency access road. Just Mr. Barmes was talking about fire. And it goes on to the 50-foot public right-of-way. Is that going to be constructed, and be usable for RVs? Is that going to be paved? Talk about your emergency access.
Emergency access will be gated and have access only for emergency vehicles. It's not going to be an entrance for patrons or RVs. And one of the conditions, I believe, is to upgrade the off-site road.
Okay. Typically in your RV parks, as a transient use, you're talking about 6 months, which you had alluded to. Will there be families in there? Is there going to be children? And the need
We
for
are
a
an
school
adult-
bus to be able to access?
We're an adult facility.
Okay.
From November 1st through April 30th. It's an adult facility.
Okay.
And then children are for our summer group.
Okay, I think that answers all my questions then. So, I guess we'll close this. Oh, we have one more. Mr. Bozeman.
Just to kind of follow up on what's been discussed. So when the original plan was developed and all the conceptual plans, was the second clubhouse included in that?
No, the cabin area didn't have a clubhouse.
So the reason for the clubhouse is the increased density. I'm assuming more people need more space. Would that be a fair statement?
I think,
Yes. What we found is that in most RV resorts, they build a very large clubhouse that's not used. We decided to go a little bit opposite. We built a facility that can get 120, 150 people in, but keep it constant activities, and that's what we've done. But we found if we do go to an expansion, that we need to have a facility that could house up to 250 to 300 people, and that's why that was put on the plans.
So the flip from the number of cabins to the increased density with the RV sites really triggered that decision. That's fine. That's fair. I mean, understandable. With a second clubhouse, there's going to be bathrooms and what have you, and you've accounted for that additional flow demand on your water and sewer system?
Yes,
It is accounted for?
it is.
Okay. And in the storage area, is that going to remain a lime rock gravel parking area?
Yes.
So no pervious?
Well,
A lime rock semi-pervious, but yeah.
It'd be lime rock, yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Are all of the ponds connected?
No.
Interconnected? Some of them?
Some of them are.
Just actually, one is interconnected.
Okay.
All the
So where you saw that, well, it wasn't a box culvert, it was a galvanized culvert going under
Right,
the
that,
little
that
bridge.
connects 3 ponds, and we have, the others are all, we have fountains in every one of the ponds.
Yeah. But you can't give us a number. You've taken and added 158 additional sites over and above the cabins going away and the additional RV spots. You can't give us a number on how many of those are allowed to be park models?
Like I said, and hopefully Joe can confirm this, there's a percentage of the total number that's allowed by the Land Development Code.
Okay. All right, that's all I got.
It can't exceed 15% of the total recreational vehicle sites located within the park.
So 15%.
It's in our LDC. It's
15% of 500 and something, or 15% of the additional 158?
it's
Total.
total.
15% of
I'm
whatever.
happy to let Mr. Furman look at this if he needs to.
Yeah, he might want to, because that could make a big difference in, park models versus,
We're going to abide by the 15% of the total,
of the total.
total number of RV
Yeah,
sites.
I mean, the whole intent was not to have all park models at all.
Yeah.
So no, we're definitely happy with that.
Madam Chair, I did forget one question.
Mr. Barnes?
Mr. Furman, what deviations are you requesting and why?
We're not requesting any deviations.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure that don't come up later. Thank you.
Do we have any further questions by the board? Thank you, Mr. Furman. We will now have staff's presentation.
Hello again, Joe Hockedell, Principal Planner. This application is being requested to modify an existing plain unit development for an RV park, Stillwater Estates. Here you can see this is the existing master plan for the Stillwater Estates with the different phases located in it. It is partially constructed. Phase 1 is constructed right now. And the portion, as Mr. Furman stated, that they are proposing to modify is this portion up here on the north, which is currently approved for 55 cabins. They want to have 213 RV spaces. The other things they are proposing as part of this, with the proposed changes, are to allow for an emergency access point right here, which goes to Melanie, and to allow for right here the RV and boat parking area, which was not part of the previously approved master plan. And so here you can kind of see a comparison of the differences of what was approved and what they're proposing. It is an increase in 213 RVs, although if you account for the cabins, it's an increase of 158 units. According to the table on the master plan, it is a total of 588 RV spaces. I will say the park models is new information to me. That was not relayed as part of this application, that they propose to have any park models on this property, and so that's why it's not mentioned in the staff report. The Land Development Code does limit the amount of park models that an RV park may have as a 15% of the total spaces. And if they were approved for this with a total of 588 RVs, that would be about 88 spaces that could contain park models. And the limit there is a time limit, both in Florida statute and the comprehensive plan, for how long a camper can stay in an RV park, and that is up to 6 months. And so here, again, you can see the proposed storage area, the maintenance buildings on the left, their water treatment plant is also in this picture. And you can see in both of these the berm that is currently existing right now. And if you go to the other side along MacArthur, you can see the berm right there. One thing that they are going to have to address as part of this is they do have some unpermitted signage that is in the right-of-way of MacArthur Terrace and Homosassa Trail. These signs will have to be removed as they cannot have these in the right-of-way. But the conversion of the 55 cabins to 213 RV spaces does appear to be compatible with the park as it exists right now. They are not requesting any deviations as far as design criteria. As Mr. Furman stated, they will have to meet all the requirements for an RV park as part of this if it is approved. There were a couple items that I was going to request to modify in the conditions. One of them would be to get some clarification for condition number 4. Currently, it says that the RV and boat storage is only for campers occupying the park. Based on Mr. Ponicos's testimony, it sounds like he would like to modify that. So that's something I will request some clarification on at some point. And number 13, I had scratched that as the 10-year limit. I would request that maybe we reinstate that, and then that would restart the 10-year clock for the additional phases.
So perhaps the unpermitted signage, put that as a condition as well. I don't see it.
It has to be removed?
Yeah, or permitted correctly, or.
Well, the signage cannot be permitted with, that signage cannot be permitted within the right-of-way, and so it would have to be removed. Any questions?
Set? Okay. Are there any questions by Mr. Furman, the applicant, to staff? Does he come up?
If he has any questions for Joe, they need to share the mic. It's
Okay.
a little uncomfortable, but
It's all right.
they know each other.
I can address a couple of things. The emergency access on the north is not.
No,
new.
I'm sorry, this
Questions of
is
staff?
your opportunity to ask questions of Joe. I'm sorry, Madam Chair.
It's okay, no. Okay, you're good, Mr. Furman? Okay.
Mr. Ponicos is nodding behind him, FYI.
Okay, I can't see you. Okay, do we have questions by the board? Mr. Facemeyer?
Joe, not to belabor the point, but can you help a non-RV person understand the difference between a cabin, which I understand pretty well, pretty permanent, and a park model? There's been a lot of discussion about it. I understand the 15% code. I get that. But can you help me understand?
Well, I am also not an RV person. But my understanding is that a cabin is a site-built structure, meets Florida Building Code, and a park model is a type of RV, so it is considered a recreational vehicle.
And we have a
So
statutory
would
definition.
it be your opinion that basically a park model is a fifth wheel camper, stays on site, that can be rented much like a hotel room?
My understanding is that Florida statute defines what a park model is, and I don't have that language in front of me.
Ms. Lynn does if you need it. Ms. Lynn has it called up if you need that.
Okay.
I didn't hear that.
Ms. Lynn?
She has it
Oh.
called up
If you
in
wanna-
front of her, so.
Yeah.
So they're defined in Florida statutes. A park model is a type of an RV built to ANSI standards. They are 400 square feet or less. And they have to remain transportable. So they can't be permanently affixed like a site-built cabin. So it's an RV. It's a type of RV built to ANSI standards. I'm sure a cabin would be built to Florida Building Code standards, or sometimes there are HUD versions of cabins that would be built to HUD standards, but there's standards for all of these types of housing.
Does it say anything about anchoring?
The anchoring issues come into play with regard to flood zones and coastal A zones. So they will have to comply with whatever the standards are for the park. I think the difficulty is that staff hadn't talked to them about park models, so that's why these types of details weren't ironed out. But I believe the applicant testified that they will meet all LDC standards, so if they're in a flood zone, they would have to anchor it or not, as required by the flood zone, and if they're in the A zone, I mean, those are things they've said they'll comply with the LDC, so those are things they'd have to comply with.
So that would also include the electrical has to be hardwired, not corded?
They said they were asking for no deviations, so they would absolutely have to comply with all requirements of the land development code, the building code, the electric code, the fire code, all the codes.
Okay,
They'd have to, because they're
Thank
not
you.
asking for any deviations.
great clarification, thank you.
Mr. Shara.
Madam Chair, good morning, Joe, again. Hey, a couple things just for clarity. Is this site in a coastal high area? I'm sorry, the coastal high hazard area?
I do not believe so.
Okay, no, all right, good. I went looking for it. I thought I found it, and then I couldn't find it again. Second is, I'm a little confused about the transient nature of this in the LDC. This is a RV recreational park. By definition, that should give us a maximum stay, which I thought was 6 months. Then I heard the applicant made a statement of maybe longer to 8 months. And so I'm just, the LDC, you know, because they're not asking for a deviation, the LDC is clear on the maximum stay.
Correct.
Okay. As it would be, and I think it's 6 months.
As is state
That's 6
statute.
months? 6 months?
Yes.
6 months?
180
It's
days.
180 days in
180
state
days.
statute as well. So not just the land development code and the comprehensive plan, but state statute. You cannot occupy an RV in an RV park longer than 180 days.
Got it. Thank you. And then on the boat storage, this one continues to, I struggle with this a little bit because in testimony, what the applicant was presenting is that, and I understood the reason, that if people don't want to drive their RV back to wherever they're from, that they would park it on site and they'd come back and they'd take it out of storage and use it, which makes it, maybe it's not permanent by nature of the fact it's only going to be in the storage for quote-unquote 6 months. Is that an acceptable use?
Having a boat and RV storage area on site ancillary to this RV park does appear to be a use that they can request. It's up to this board and the Board of County Commissioners as to whether it is acceptable. However, staff did propose a condition that only be usable by occupants of the park.
Right. And they said they
So-
accepted all the conditions.
And as per Mr. Parnikos' testimony, he indicated that it could be also for people to store their RVs on site for an amount of time while they are not at the park. And so it would be the decision of this board and the Board of County Commissioners if that is acceptable or not.
So to put it in plain language, if we look at the worst case, quote unquote, the longest stay that you would have something in this on-site storage would be six months. If someone had come and they were going to stay in the park for 6 months, defined in number of days, and then they were going to store the unit, so you only have 6 months left. So it could be up to 6 months.
I don't know how to answer that.
Well, I mean, I'm just trying to understand what it is what are we wrestling with here? They've accepted or stated in testimony they would accept the conditions as you had prepared them. Only residents of the park could use that facility. And then the only other question would be how long. The remaining question I would have, and I didn't ask the applicant, but I'll leave it as an open, unanswered question, is if this site needs to be evacuated, There was an earlier comment that if you have to evacuate the sites, the units have to be removed. Then what happens to the RV storage? I didn't think to ask that earlier. Okay, thanks, Joe.
And just to add, I'm sorry, Joe, condition number 4, where staff has suggested that the RV storage and boat storage only serve those campers occupying the RV park. I would say maybe those campers while occupying the RV park, unless this board feels that that's perfectly appropriate, that when they're not there, they can keep it there. And then, of course, Mr. Shara has pointed out a very good possibility is what happens when there's storms, correct?
Mr. Bozeman?
On the site plan, Joe, can you point out where this second clubhouse is proposed to be located, or is it on there yet?
It's on there.
I can't see it.
It's teeny, real teeny.
You got the pointer?
Right in there. There you go.
Yeah, they have some additional recreation space right around in there.
Okay, that just
It's right next to the pool. Can't you see it?
Eagle eyes.
You need better glasses.
I guess so. Binoculars, actually. No, that's it. I just wanted to clarify that.
Anybody else? Mr. Stone?
I can tell him what happens to vehicles that are parked when a hurricane comes through, okay? And they have the rules that they must be evacuated. Nothing happens, they stay there. That's what happens in South Florida every time a hurricane goes. You gotta move your boat, the boats never move, they just sink.
Okay. Ms. Murphy? I have no questions. Okay. I do have some questions. So in the 2015 report, which was included in the backup, it did mention that this was in the coastal high hazard area, which is your Cat 1 and your typically your evacuation. I don't know if there's been any changes to those maps, but that does raise concerns with me that you're increasing the number of units with evacuation should there be a call for it in a hurricane. Okay. So, and you did testify to the fact that this is the first time you're hearing about the park models. Also, that you were not aware.
Correct.
Okay.
That
at
was
this
not brought up
time.
earlier.
Okay. I think everything else has been answered at this time. Okay. Thank you, Joe.
Joe, can you tell me why you're canceling out the 10-year termination? What is the madness behind that?
Originally, the thought was since they had started construction and the phase was operational, that they had commenced. However, looking at it retrospectively, it's probably good to have that 10-year time frame in there for the rest of the phases to give some sort of clock for expiration of the rest of those.
You said you're going to scratch it out where there is no 10-year. So are we adding a 10-year for phase 3?
So it would be, it would be for the master plan. So if this is approved, then that condition 13 would remain in effect, and it would basically restart with this approval if this is approved.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any further questions of staff? Okay, thank you, Joe. Okay, we will now open the public portion of the meeting. And if there's anybody present to speak on this application, please come forward to the podium. Of course, remember that we have 3 minutes. Organizations have 5. Please state your name and address, and you'll need to fill out the yellow form for the.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
My name's Christopher Powell, 7488 West Longfellow Street, Homosassa. I'm the property directly north and to the east. And I'm just wondering, I already hear the facility quite a bit, you know, with the bike rallies. It kind of gets loud. I can hear curse words, not that I'm a prude. But I'm wondering, at the northern boundary, there's quite a bit of trees there. So I can hear you now, but I can't quite see the facility. I'm wondering, after phase 3 is done, will I be able to see that facility? And I don't know if you're gonna.
He'll have an opportunity
Okay,
afterwards.
yeah,
to
that's
answer.
really my only concern. It's a beautiful facility. I've been through there, but they took a lot of trees down, and I don't want to be able to see the facility. I can already hear it, and those trees do provide me with somewhat of a buffer. So I'd like to maybe see if they can augment that and leave a buffer zone somehow. And that's my only real concern, so.
Thank you, Mr. Powell.
Thank you.
Fill out a form.
Oh, yes, please remember to fill out your form. Thank you. Next person wants to come up to the podium to speak? No? Second call? Third call to come up? Okay, being as there's no others, we'll now ask Mr. Furman to come up and respond to for rebuttal.
Yes, the master plan does call for a landscape buffer along the north boundary line. I forget the width, but it's at least 20 feet, maybe 25. And there's a lot of that area that's going to remain undisturbed because it's already wetlands. We can't do much with it. As I mentioned before, the emergency access along the north side is not new. It's not part of this application. That's was there on the original master plan. It will be for emergency vehicles only. It'll be gated. And I can tell you about the sign.
We can only respond to rebuttal questions at this time. Yes,
From the public.
from the public, so we didn't have anything on signage, no, so,
You want to hear about the sign or not?
He can do a closing type.
okay, we'll let you do a closing, thank you.
Well, the Lime Rock, excuse me, the Lime Rock Road, which was originally MacArthur Terrace, was to the west of the part that's been improved. And as it turns out, because of the plat of the town of Homosassa, MacArthur Terrace had at least the first part of it, had a 120-foot wide right-of-way. So the new alignment for MacArthur Terrace aligned it with the center of Kingsway, which is the road to the south across the other side of Homosassa Trail. So we're going to have application for vacation of part of the westerly portion of that right-of-way, and then construct a new sign on the vacated portion of that right-of-way. 120 feet is not needed there anymore. I think we're going to scale it back to, I think it was 80 feet. So we'll have some area just off the west right-of-way line for a new sign. The sign that's out in the right-of-way now is kind of temporary.
Okay, well, you'll have to meet all the standards of the code, so, at that time. Okay, thank you, sir.
Is it closing?
Yeah, we're closed, we're closed. Okay, so now we'll close this public portion of the hearing and bring it back to this discussion by the board. Let me start with Mr. Stone.
I was just wondering what the setback is for development code. Is it a type D, type C?
He's looking for the buffer.
On the north property line.
The minimum type C buffer width is 15 feet.
15 feet, would that be applicable to this then?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Ms. Murphy?
I have no questions.
Okay, we start with Mr. Bozeman.
No.
Mr. Barmas?
Yeah, I'd like to just talk about the buffer for a second, because I did overlook that in my notes. There's a 15-foot type C buffer backing up to a residential house in an RV capacity with people who come to our area to enjoy the beauty that we have. They also, there's those critters that come in town that want to destroy and make noise and disturb our great residents. So I would want to expand that buffer if the board would entertain me on that.
Could that be on the north side where the RV sites are as it abuts the
residential?
Because there is, yeah, I mean, there's some wetland areas in there that will have to be maintained, but,
Joe, I know you know this off the top of your head, but I know what, type C is 15 feet, type D is 25 feet?
Yes.
With a wall.
Yeah, type D includes a wall.
So I would be in more lines of a type D buffer with or without a wall, just to buffer the trees. I'm not sure if the residents would like to see a wall, but they would like to see trees instead of a park, as one of the residents have spoke on. So we can change condition number 3 to a type D buffer. I would enjoy that.
Yeah, I would support that as well, and I also like the wall. I think it cuts sound, as well as unpleasant visuals.
Yeah, I concur.
Mr. Shara, did you have any further?
Well, I'm in support of the of the residents' requests that they don't see this facility to the greatest extent possible. So what I'd heard the applicant say is there was going to be a 10-foot berm. I don't know if that's in writing, so we can't rely on that. So we need to put it in writing. The 10-foot berm is on the east side, next to MacArthur, and I think something similar to that with the vegetation would go a long way towards letting these folks enjoy their quiet, well, at least enjoy the vision. The noise issue, I don't know how we address that. I mean, I think the noise standards are already in the LDC at the property line. That's a question. Are noise standards in the LDC at the property line for these types of facilities?
Yes.
They are. Okay, so they have to be enforced if they're not being met. All right. Look, I think the reality here is what we're wrestling with is these folks want to build a phase 3. They want to change the makeup of the phase 3 and get rid of 55 cabins and put in 213 RV pads, which is a net, I think somebody said earlier, and I had it down, a net of 158 units. In and of itself, I traveled to this facility. It is a good-looking facility. It's certainly, at this point in its life, a high-end facility. I'm not sure I could afford these RVs that I'm seeing being, located on this. I have concerns about the water consumption, and my concern is that what agency, in fact, has to go in and be sure that there is sufficient capacity in that system for these incremental units. But I think that's part of the permitting process. Beyond that, I don't find this objectionable. I think there's specific questions that we have, but phase 3, it's already was laid out in multiple phases. And the first phase is done, phase 2 and 3 are yet to come. We're talking about 213 additional units. I would be in support of this.
Madam Chair, if y'all are inclined to want a berm or a wall or a set, you might want to engage with the applicant and see, maybe they'll offer or agree, or maybe they have some preferences.
A berm.
Mr. Pontico.
But to stay consistent with what we've already done, we've done it along Homosassa Trail, and now we've also done it along MacArthur. We would do the same thing at the back of the property, 10-foot berm with vegetation, as Joe has spelled out.
There you go.
Okay. Mr. Face.
Madam Chair, Madam Attorney, can they do that in a wetland area?
They
Because
have
that
to.
area is all wetland from
And
site map.
the analysis of the trees, I don't know if there's any of the protected trees back, I mean,
They're going to have to comply with wetland rules, whatever the wetland rules are. And if they can't put a berm, they're going to have to do something. And that's all going to come down to permitting. If you all make it a condition, if for some reason they can't comply with all the rules, then they're going to either have to come back here or the board or negotiate with staff, and somehow they're going to have to make it work if it's a condition.
Can I just define one thing that was said? The residents said where the RV sites are, the wetlands is very thick vegetation right now. You can't see through it. I mean, it's solid trees. The area that he's concerned with is the area that we have RV sites, and along that whole section there, which is not wetlands, would be a berm. And that would block off from him seeing anything through here. You cannot see through the trees. I mean, you can put a definition of how many trees have to be in there, but that wetlands, which is going right towards the middle of the property to the west is solid trees. You cannot see through that. So that's natural. None of that is going to be touched.
So I understand where we are as the, the applicant, we can put in as a condition the 10-foot berm to be consistent with the balance of the site. Their issue is to going through the permitting process to be able to construct it and/or an alternative that would be acceptable to the county if they can't do that.
Or they have to come back here.
Or they have to
If,
come back here.
you know, there are modifications, there are standards for modifications. If they can't meet those modifications, then they have to come back and ask for something new.
Now, we have implemented a tree preservation plan, and it may or may not have been in place when this first application was approved. Does that, since we've now put that in place as a county, does that apply to this situation?
Yes, so any additional phase that they construct will have to meet our tree preservation, and they'll have to do a tree preservation study.
Okay, good, thank you. And so we don't have to restate that, that's just included in the current LDC standard.
Yeah, they'll need a tree preservation plan at permitting.
Right, thank you.
Okay.
So it sounds like condition 3 would say at the end, besides type C buffers, but to include a 10-foot berm on the north side with vegetation, is what I'm getting from the board.
And while you're on
I
the
have one more.
conditions, number 4, I would still like to see it for the current campers only, not for long-term residents to leave. And condition 13, to keep in place, not to scratch it.
Years. Mr. Bozeman?
I guess you said engage these gentlemen is possible, because we're coming down to a list, brass tacks on these berms and/or whatever's permissible. So in looking at the plan, you have clearly on the northwest side, the wetlands, and then it moves to wetlands, and then you have a row of houses. Looks like it's very close to the property line, and then from there all the way over to that northeast corner, okay? That would be the area applicable for berming and/or walls and/or, if I'm understanding. My question is if they would be agreeable to that, then I think that would make it more palatable.
Yes, from that center point to the east.
Okay, and so you're agreeable to that?
Yes.
Write it down.
Yeah, but if they have a good stand of timber in through there and it's very dense, I wouldn't like to see it clear cut to put a berm in.
True.
So we can
Agreed.
have a condition with that if the existing,
I think a little common sense needs to be realized.
I think it needs to be
Agreed.
stipulated that, the berm is preferable, but if there's existing dense vegetation that does the same thing,
Yeah.
then it would not be appropriate for that place.
Yeah, it's in their best interest to be good neighbors.
Yeah, of course.
Madam Chair, I have a follow-up, and I overlooked it. I think I might have been premature in my comment of support. I'm still confused with with where we stand with this RV boat storage. We know that 6 months we've now defined 6 months as the longest stay, 180 days. The way this is worded now, that it would be RV and boat storage for those residents, and you could infer while they're there in the park. The applicant has made a specific request that could be, their intent would be to store RV facilities for their customers while they're not on site. So I don't think we've resolved this one yet. I need to come back and we need to chew on this one.
Yeah, so my position is I feel right now it's premature. We've had additional information that came in. I'd like more information on exactly the park models and where they're going, and I'd like to see staff's analysis. Also, being that it's in the CHHA, I'd like analysis on evacuation and, just like you said, what do you do with the stored ones? Do they have to remove the ones that are there? Just for safety for the surrounding area. I'm not opposed to the park. It's already there. It falls apparently with the number of allowed units, but we want to make sure all the safeguards are in place, particularly if there is a need for evacuation. And maybe also then the applicant can provide more information on what he can do on the berm on that north side where there's a question, because there are wetlands there. So maybe, I just think it needs to be brought back with more information. It's incomplete at this point. Otherwise, I guess either, I don't, do we call for a motion, or so I don't want to, if we deny it, how can we ask the applicant to ask for continuance? I don't think we do, right? Or
It depends on, it is up to the applicant if they want to continue it. If there is no continuance, then you either vote it up or down.
Okay.
I would prefer a continuance, but I think the biggest point that you're confused by, I think I can explain. We are not looking to do anything different than the LDC. So the idea about having park models, that is not needed at all, because we had 55 cabins, and the most park models we could have is 80-some. We could sit there and put in here that we could have no more than 55 park models.
But the plan that you have right now is inconsistent with that. I think the plan needs to state specifically the number of park models and if it's necessary to show where they go.
I think the
in my
maximum,
opinion.
we're not, but we are not asking, we do not want to do anything different than what the county code calls for. We are not asking the planning to do anything with park models. If I misspoke on that, the park model, the cabins we had designed, I believe were 750 square feet each. They were like little houses. That was the maximum they could be. As what was said, the maximum size for the park models is 400 square feet. And as far as we're concerned, throw the park model out. It could be fifth wheel. It's got to be a place that people can come without having to bring their own, that they can rent from us. So that was the whole idea. If the county code says that we can, after all the units are built, maximum we could have is 15%, we will never do anything other than that. We're not asking for. We're asking just whatever is allowed by county code. And so if we're considering these as RV sites alone. We are changing this from 55 cabins, 750 square foot cabins, to 200 and some RV sites. That's what it is. There's this idea of the park models. We are not intending to buy, and it's very expensive. We're not going to buy 150, 200 park models to come in there. We don't want to do that. All we want is to change the plan from having cabins to possible RV sites. We feel that this is a better site, and that according to the code, we would do whatever the code allows. If they said the maximum we can put in is 80 or 85, we would do that, if ever do that much. The intent is nothing more than to change it from the 750 cabins to the RV sites that you see there. And that's what we're doing. I mean, if there's confusion on that, that's where it's, and the idea of the parking, the idea for parking at a site, we have had people ask us, can they leave their RV while they're up north until they come back for their 6 months when they stay here? That was a convenience. There is no power out there. There's no sewer out there. They cannot live in it. They are doing just like they would do. They would pull it and park it in a slot right next to the boats or other items that are there. That's the only thing that has been asked of us, and that's why we made that comment.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ponticus.
Okay.
So if a decision cannot be made today, and if we need a continuance, we will be glad to continue this instead of having to vote on it.
Well, I'd like those questions answered as being in the CHHA and how that relates.
Yeah, I think the sensitivity is with park models, and because this property is in an evacuation zone, that the park models, I understand the concern, and that's the sensitivity with the park models, is just they have to be evacuated. Cabins are built to, height
I would not support the condition as it's worded for long-term storage of units when a resident or when these customers are not there, because should we get into the worst case and have to be evacuated, those units would not get evacuated, as I believe Commissioner Stone had stated. I mean, it's unlikely. We don't know, but I would not support that if they're willing to make that change. But other than that, I continue to support this with that clarification. The issues around berm, they can't address the berm. They're also willing, and I think we need to state that the tree preservation plan is in place, and preserving as many trees as possible. And I know that's a subjective statement, but at least the tree preservation. In 1 month or 2 months, they're not going to have detail engineering design on the wetlands and on the berms. So I'm not sure what clarity we bring there. So if they want to ask for a continuance, peace. But if we want to move forward with this, we have to address, in my mind, those specific issues. Failing to address the RV storage and boat storage, I would not support that.
Well, we're fine with that. We are fine with that.
So
We're fine with what you just said. We have no problem you saying or putting in as a condition that it is for only people who are staying there for storage for that. That is fine.
And while they're there.
And while they're there, and the berm idea of what we described, we're totally fine with that.
Okay, so it seems like we have a consensus then to move forward with a motion.
I would agree. I would support it, given this
Okay.
most recent conversation, absolutely.
So, Ms. Katu, can you, I know you're frantically working on updating conditions. Can you read the modified conditions?
So condition number 3, the project will provide type C buffers as shown on the master plan, date stamped October 6, 2025, to include on the north side from the center portion to the east, a 10-foot berm with vegetation or equivalent natural vegetation. Condition number 4 would change from the outdoor storage area for boat and RV can only serve those campers then while occupying the RV park to make sure that they're not gone. Condition 10, we had a typo. It should be floor area ratio and not floor area ration. I'm sorry about that. Condition number 13 would be reinstated. It is required that the PUD shall terminate 10 years from the date of approval by the Board of County Commissioners.
For my own clarification, are we improving or are we including the park model information on this?
I apologize, yeah,
So I have under condition number 1, at the end of condition number 1, up to 15% of the RV spaces may be park models and must be delineated on the master plan.
As required.
As required by the Land Development Code.
And comprehensive plan. Yeah, there's extra stuff in the comp plan. And I did not add a condition about the unpermitted signage. I'd suggest the unpermitted signage must be removed from the right-of-way. You heard the applicant has a plan to get there, but right now they're in the right-of-way, so not cool.
Okay. So we have a motion.
I thought we had talked about a type D if there wasn't a berm.
There was a discussion about that. I didn't get a consensus, but that can be changed. Condition number 3, if you'd rather have a type D instead of the 10-foot type C. Absolutely.
So type D brings it up to a 20-foot versus
25.
20 minimum?
25?
20-foot minimum.
20-foot minimum.
It's 25 or 20-foot minimum.
Okay.
25 preferred.
If you go up 10 feet, how wide do you have to be?
Well, that's just that, yeah, then you got to slope.
I don't know. I'm not an engineer.
It's a berm.
If
If
they're
you go
gonna
up
do a
10 feet
10-foot
with the angle of
berm.
repose for sand, I'm looking for, Commissioner Stone for your rule of thumb.
Yeah, well, the thing would probably be 20 feet at the base anyway. If you had a
40.
If you had a 45-degree slope on the thing, it would be, 10 feet off of either side of the thing. So it'd be like a 20-foot footprint or more, depending on what kind of material they use. So it would be consistent with a Type D.
I would believe with the 10-foot berm with vegetation, you've covered the base. But Type D does not include a berm.
No, but it says it's 25 foot, which I think
It says 20 feet.
20 foot, which I think would be sufficient for a 10-foot high berm.
Okay.
I would rather see the berm with vegetation, knowing what the limits are in construction, rather than just saying 20-foot type D, because type D doesn't include a berm.
Well, you can add that, though. You can say the type D
But
with
I
a
thought we were
berm.
talking about there were places that perhaps the berm would not be appropriate, like existing dense vegetation that would already do the job. So we didn't want to get him into clear cutting to put a berm in that put up something that was less than what we have there to start with.
So are you saying a type D buffer with a berm, with a 10-foot berm and vegetation?
No. If the berm can't be constructed for whatever reason,
I'm with
then
you.
the type D would be constructed for whatever reason. And there may be a time when neither one of them can be because there's a wetland there.
Right, so instead, or equivalent natural vegetation equivalent to it's bad, or natural vegetation equivalent to a type D buffer, to the plantings of a type B buffer.
So it's either got to be 10 foot or it's got to be type D.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Okay.
My only concern with the condition is that, as I sit here, I don't know if they, in that location, can have park models.
And that's why
So
I feel a
the
split
condition
for-
says they can have up to 15, the way that it's been stated, up to 15%, perhaps, if allowable. Is the only,
Can't we just say they have to abide by existing codes with respect to?
Which we said LDC and comp plan, yeah, I think we've covered that by that revised condition that meets the requirements of the LDC and the comp plan. So they absolutely would have to be park model type approval.
Is that a state statute or is that county?
Both?
Both.
Both. The definition she read was in the statute.
and it also has to do with installation.
Sure.
The installation and how they what standards they have to comply with to install a park model in a flood zone is applicable.
So Joe, if you state the specific requirements, are we better off stating in accordance with state statute and the LDC and
I don't think you have to.
No, I think the way that Joanna read it is fine.
being that?
I just
that
didn't,
specific?
I just didn't want there to be a thought that no matter what, they could have 15%, because I don't know whether they can have them there. So saying up to 15%, complying with the LDC and the comp plan, I think you're covered.
And the applicant's testimony says he'll comply without exception or deviation to the comp plan, the LDC, and the state statutes.
He has to comply with the state statutes.
I think we got
It's
it.
the law.
I think we got it covered, right?
Yes,
So
sir.
we addressed the berm and/or the type D buffer. We addressed the, whatever we call these things, the semi, I've lost the model, the park model.
What, right, RV park models, you've addressed the RV park storage for while occupying the park. We do have the 10-year expiration date back in there, and we've added in for signage, that the unpermitted signage needs to be removed.
Okay.
So we now have a motion.
For purpose of a motion, I'm going to try to read this, but I'm losing my voice. The Planning and Development Commission finds application number PUD-2025-00014 consistent with the Citrus County Comprehensive Plan and Citrus County Development Code, and that the board recommends approval with conditions of the application to the Board of County Commissioners based upon the evidence and testimony presented and the staff report and conclusions regarding this petition.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Shera, a second by Mr. Facemeyer. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Nay.
Nay.
Vote carries 5-2. Thank you, sir. Yes. Yes, I was going to say, does the board want to take?
I just want to make sure, is there somebody from Take 5 here? Okay, thank you.
Okay. We're going to take just a 10-minute recess. We'll be back at 11:26.
I think we all need a bathroom break.
I'll give it to her. Thank you so much.
But it was. At least not the nice.
Okay. I actually tried to pull up Robert's rules and I couldn't, so. But I just don't got this. No, it is, so this is an elongated script. It's not the one you have in your backup, actually, that,
I think they'll have a
recording
list of all the
secretary had
issues.
provided to us.
Either you have to prioritize
Okay.
or decide.
I just want to make sure I'm doing it right and that I'm consistent with, you know, how she's used to recording her minutes too. I don't want to mess her up.
In their first draft is, they did say, but I don't remember.
It's like one of those Chinese
Yeah,
food
they're-
movies.
The top three things
Endeavor
that
to
have come out to
persevere.
this
It's like,
point is protection of resources, or landscaping.
Yes, we shall.
2 has been potable water protection.
Indeed.
And number three has been, commission meetings, it seems like roads,
Okay.
but it turns out that
It starts on one
number 3 so
twenty-seven.
far, as far as the public's concerned.
I suspect that if you had to
Done.
differentiate between the three of them, you might find a different outcome. Ranking something, doing force ranking is difficult.
So I think the next
Come here,
step is,
a little.
where do you want your tax money to go to? And how much, as far as, you want all of it to go towards conservation, or all of it towards water, or split between the,
Okay.
Carissa, we're all freezing to death. We're blaming you.
It feels better now.
Don't worry, we built a fire at halftime here.
Halftime, I hope it's the fourth quarter.
Hey, we're in a 2-minute warning here.
There- Yeah.
It's like a hockey match. Okay, we're in the third period.
I think it was already changed. It doesn't,
Anybody
We
want-
gotta go home and watch the women.
Yeah, 1 o'clock.
yeah. Thank you. We're good. Okay.
I think they're gonna win. I think they've got a solid team.
Okay.
Joanna,
Are we,
how do you think the U.S. ladies hockey?
1:40, the clock is
we need
ticking.
to,
Yeah, that's what-
you can catch her afterwards.
I predict that they
40.
win. I predict that they will win comfortably.
I win
Okay.
both ways because I'm married to a former Canadian, and so I can win both ways.
We will now reconvene the board at 11:27. It's time for application J2B PUD 2025-000. Four zeros and a 9, Edward McDonald for Homosassa 1998 ECP LLC. Thank you for your patience. We will first get the staff introduction.
This request is to establish a master plan to allow for an automobile service use in the coastal high hazard area. This is an aerial view of the subject property. This is a view of the site from US 19. This is looking across US 19. This is looking north on US 19. This is looking south on US 19. And this is the master plan proposed by the applicant. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Edward McDonald. I'm with Thomas Engineering Group, 1502 West Fletcher Road, Tampa, Florida. I'm the civil engineer working with Take 5 Driven Brands for a proposed oil lube drive-through facility at 9318 Suncoast Boulevard, US 98. The site total acreage, which is lot 1A and 1B, is 2.3 acres. The Take 5 would take up 1.285 acres. This total parcel area, which also includes the parcel to the south, was purchased by a developer, ECP Partners. They developed the Dollar Tree last year, and that's currently under construction. The pictures that you saw were probably from a few months ago. I believe they're going to be submitting for their CO pretty soon, but that's separate from this project. It's been subdivided. Dollar Tree owns that portion. Now the developer, having the remainders of the parcel to the north, is looking to divide that into 1A and 1B. The nature of the site itself, just when you look at it kind of holistically and you understand it, there's existing wetlands that are on the southwest corner, which are primarily on the Dollar Tree parcel. Those have been defined. There's also what you can see, and it's clearly labeled flood zone AE line, which is just to the west of the pond area. That's the floodplain line based off of topo elevation. It is a tidal flood zone. So the stormwater design is such that it would combine with the Dollar Tree pond, which was previously permitted, do a permit modification, extend the pond for the Take 5. What you see wouldn't be exactly built. They wouldn't extend the pond up as far on the remaining portion. It would only be the pond necessary to support the Take 5. The staff report also mentions a small, what is labeled existing flood comp pond to be removed, which is directly north of the Take 5 building. That was something that came up during the Dollar Tree permitting process at the very end with FDOT. So it wasn't properly addressed. It was kind of the expedient thing to do at the time for the Dollar Tree, which was after 3 rounds with FDOT, they came back with a last-minute comment that said that a low-lying area on the site was hydraulically connected to their ditch. So instead of arguing that and proving that via like a dynamic floodplain model, we just did a cup for cup and we kind of moved it over. So our intention is that when we go through the full site construction permitting for the Take 5, that we will work with DOT to show that dynamically impacting that flood area won't cause any adverse impact to their right-of-way, but that is just a pond area or a low-lying area that equalizes the DOT right-of-way. So the Take 5 use specifically on Lot 1A is a 1,316 square foot drive-through facility. If you're not familiar with the Take 5, it's only oil and lube changes. It's not like a full automotive. You drive through the stacking area, you stay in your car, they change your oil, you pull out. Parking's met on the site. The request itself is primarily driven by the fact that we are in the coastal high hazard area. So under the GNC general commercial allowable uses, there's an asterisk there that says anything with the automotive use needs a PUD. And I think it's specifically to look at the automotive use and ensure that there is compliance from an environmental standpoint and it's not going to cause adverse effects to the high hazard area. So Take 5 is again, a national firm. They have, all their used oil and automotive fluids are collected in sealed containment systems and regularly removed by licensed water management contractors. They'd be in full compliance with any environmental regulations in that regard. So it's a, very well-known, reputable organization. They operate everywhere. So even when I was reading, trying to figure out the reason for that, it seemed to be from an environmental standpoint, it seemed to be kind of directed at larger uses and not the smaller. But along this corridor, US 98, there's development coming up from the intersection just to the south, and it's starting to get more and more. So our site itself is a very long and narrow site that extends very deep into the site. So when we're looking at to develop this, we're trying to kind of be a little bit stewards of the land and get the most out of it. So it's a very tight, dense site, right? It's a small 1,316 square foot. So part of the deviations that are requested in this application is that the minimum width, which I believe is 150 feet per the subdivision, be allowed to be 70 feet in width. So that way we can subdivide it. The developer can sell this portion to Take 5, and then would also leave the remaining portion to the north, which right now he's not sure what he's going to do with that. So lot area, very unique, floodplain in the back, wetlands in the back, keeping it. Dollar Tree was already permitted and approved, extend the stormwater pond up. The cross access was established during the Dollar Tree, so essentially from the Circle K to the south, which recently did a improvement for some diesel truck parking on their portion right there. You can kind of see the curb line. That's been in place for, I think, 2 years. But they provided cross access. We extended it as part of the Dollar Tree. All the way to the north, we have a permitted right-in only with FDOT. And that cross access should be extended even further north, which there's an application by a different firm and a different developer, I believe for a Waffle House is directly to the north. There would be a portion that's undeveloped between us and our North Lot 1B, but it would continue that cross access, which would, be ideal for traffic, and that's what FDOT is looking for. So access is taken care of. Cross access is already established per the plat. Parking's in place per code. So coastal high hazard area. There's a deviation request for no bypass lane. Take 5 is national. They know how to operate their business. They do not need a bypass lane. We don't have the width for a bypass lane on the site. It is a code requirement, but that is something that we're asking as a deviation for. We're not providing a loading area per se on the site. That's something that, again, we're asking for a deviation for. It's listed in the staff report. One deviation that was listed by staff, which is no direct sidewalk access. It does run to the north and cross over through the adjacent parcel 1B, so that would have to be all covered in private REA agreements because it's not directly on their site, but the pedestrian access is provided. We have a surplus of 1 parking space, so if that's something that this board finds unacceptable, we could lose 1 space and extend that sidewalk out, not a problem. There is a deviation request for the freestanding sign. There's a separation issue from the Dollar Tree sign that's on its parcel to our signage area. So that might be something where we can push up a little bit, but it's again because it's such a dense use, which I think that density along US 98 is good. We're not extending back into the floodplain area. It's just a very tight, small, compact use. So there is that request for a deviation for the distance between those 2 signs, again listed in the staff report. So the lot width I already talked about, the coastal high hazard area, I think you understand that. But again, the site is very efficiently laid out. We have a very good understanding of what we have to do for the stormwater design. Upon approval by this board, if we're lucky enough to get that approval, we would then proceed with that stormwater design and the next steps with Citrus County, with the Water Management District and FDOT to require all the permits necessary, as well as pursue the subdivision as outlined on this proposed site plan. So with that, to keep it very simple, maybe get you guys out of here before lunchtime, I will turn it over to staff and their presentation, and then be here to answer any questions that you may have now or after the staff report, totally up to you. Thank you.
We'll start with staff if they have any questions of the applicant.
I was going to ask about the deviations, but the applicant addressed those, so I have no questions.
The one thing I did want to point out, I don't know if it was updated, Joe, and we talked about it on the phone on deviation, or not deviation, suggested conditions. There was condition number 9 where it looks like a part of that sentence wasn't finished. Did that get corrected?
No, it did not.
So that's the only thing to continue that sentence. And then for me, suggested conditions number 6, I would like to have that removed. We don't want to provide a bypass lane. That's why we're here. All the other conditions, as far as suggested conditions, access, floodplain, drainage, tree preservation, landscaping, we're fine with. So clarification on item 9, and if the board could strike item 6 from the suggested conditions in their approval, that would just be what I'm here for. But again, any questions that you may have, thank you.
Okay. Good, Joe? Okay, discussion by, or questions by the board at this point. Mr. Facemeyer.
They're not gonna be done with you, you're still.
Yeah. you
I
need to
have a
come back
question. I want to be clear. It looks like you're asking for a deviation on the bypass lane. Can you explain that other than the small size of the lot?
Small size of the lot, that's typically how they have it in their other other store locations. In this case, we didn't feel it was necessary. We do have the cross-access drive that straddles the property line. So if by chance anyone does go down that way, there is a T-turn and enough room for them to maneuver and turn back around without pulling through. The future development of Lot 1B will happen in the future, but we're trying to keep the site as tight as possible to use.
So how would someone who happened to come on a very busy day, they got caught in queue in that line and they had an emergency, how would that person get out?
Very busy day, caught in queue. They would have to have the support of the staff working there to kind of help navigate that out. It wouldn't be, an easy turn. We could look at doing something where we had an escape lane in that green space between the stacking and the cross-access road. We could add something there where it's just a little escape lane for them to pull out and go left and go back out. It could be striped with some 45-degree like yellow hash, make it 12 feet wide, just enough for a car to navigate through if that is a concern. I'm representing the developer ECP who I work for, and I'm also working directly with Driven Brand on this deal and another 4 deals with them, and then our South Florida office is working on like another 10. So we're very familiar with Driven Brand as a whole, and they don't object to the way that's laid out. They don't see it as an issue operationally, but if this board does, we could add that escape lane if you wanted to.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to wave my hand. You going to have pits or lifts for the automobiles?
They're pits.
How deep are they going to be?
I don't know the exact dimension of that.
Concern I have is you dig a hole down there, you're going to hit groundwater not too far below the
absolutely.
surface. Yeah. How is it engineered to protect that groundwater? Because there's going to be oil drippage in the bottom of the pit, and it's, so how is it? How do y'all design that with that in to keep the water from coming in and the stuff from getting washed back out?
Unfortunately, the expert here that knows about that is not. So I stay out of the building. I have nothing to do with the design of that pit. I just know that the cars are pulling through with the person inside of it, so they're not going to jack a car up. I know there's pits, but how they waterproof those pits, and if there's a pump, coating of the asphalt, the anchoring of it, I'm not in part of that design.
Okay, and you the design shows 2 lanes operating at the same time.
2 lanes, yes, sir.
Okay. removal of the hazardous fluids, I mean, is it based on when the tank's full, or is there a frequency, a routine frequency? Every, once a week, every 2 days, whatever?
I couldn't give you an accurate, comment on that. I would be guessing.
Yeah, no, I understand. And an emergency, storm's coming, got a full tank, we're gonna get somebody there. Is there contingencies in place for that? That may not be able to answer that either.
I can't answer that necessarily, except to say that, storage of oil, I know that's important, and there's going to be regulations for FDEP in the county that's going to have to be followed, and that's all going to be followed. And I rely on the architect and Driven Brands and their expertise in this, because again, they have quite a few stores that they operate. So they're not here. I wish they were right now.
Do they have any more of these in the type of condition this is gonna be placed in, where you're gonna hit groundwater about
Yeah.
3-4 foot deep hole?
They're building everywhere in Florida, and especially in South Florida.
Yeah.
Where they're like 10 feet above seasonal high, or above the elevation of the ocean. They're everywhere.
What's your finished elevation on the slab on this particular building? And, I mean, the inside the building.
I don't have the finished floor listed. I was hoping I had that listed somewhere on here. I just brought the site plan. We're working on the engineering plans, and I should have brought a copy of the Dollar Tree plans.
I'm sure there's a minimal elevation required. Staff would probably have
so
that answer.
the flood zone that we're adjacent to is 10 NAVD. So the finished floor of that building, I believe it's a minimum 11, but I believe it's a little bit above that. It might be 12.
Okay.
But they're going off in memory. But the plan there does state the floodplain elevation 10, so we're above that.
Okay. All right. I mean, it would have to be permitted to whatever the requirement is, I'm sure. And then, that's it.
Mr. Shara.
Madam Chair, good morning. Just a couple fundamental things. You show a site 1A and 1B, and it shows that your improvements take place on both sites. Your cross-access, your access to the highway. And yet you're asking deviations because you don't have sufficient room. I'm trying to interpret what's going on here. Is there further expansion planned in 1B?
1B would be a future commercial retail. I know he toyed with the idea of like some type of dental office, but there's no concrete plans for a user there. I don't know what's going to be developed there, but we're trying to save as much room there as possible for future development. And because Take 5 does not typically operate with a bypass lane, that's why it's not included. The benefit is plus size is that leaves more land for the developer in the future to try to get something on 1B.
So, I mean, being blunt, but for the developer's desire to build something else, you could comply with the county's standards. With the bypass lane, with cross-access, with access to the road.
With bypass lane, cross-access is provided. What was the other one?
Stacking lane.
The stacking length is provided. The only thing that we're not complying and are asking a deviation for is the bypass lane. Cross-access has already been covered. That's in the plat. It's recorded. It's there. The driveway that straddles the property line between lot 1B and 1A, that's going to be covered in a private REA agreement between those two properties and whoever comes in as 1B. Stacking is provided, meeting code. The only thing that we're asking for is not to put in a bypass lane because this specific user does not need it.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna ask you to repeat what you had said. Why don't you need a bypass lane?
They don't typically operate with one.
Is that a corporate design in the corporate design, there's not a bypass lane? That's not just being altered for this?
No.
This application?
No, I'm doing one in Lakeland right now. is 98 and Clubhouse, same thing, where they don't have a bypass lane around it. People are coming in for if they're not familiar with it, with the operation, they're gonna park, they can walk in, talk to someone, but once they're familiar with it and they know that's where they go for the oil change, they just pull around, they pull up, they scan their sticker, they stay in their car, they get like a 10-minute oil change, they pull out and go on their way. What we're talking about is someone who's maybe not used to it and they just pull in and they pull around and they get stuck. That's what the board's worried about. I think it's a learned use where people are going there and they're going to know how it operates because they've been there. If someone does get stuck in the bypass lane, there's enough queue, there's enough room to back up. We can add signage if needed, if that would address the board's concern or your concern. The end of the drive aisle that's straddling the property line does operate with the end where it has a bit of a T-turn where if you come in, you could kind of pull in, whoops, I went the wrong way, back up, T-turn, and go back out. So if there's signage or something like that that would make you feel better, especially as people are learning it, I think that might be a good condition to add. I also, before I did throw out, in that green space between the 24-foot drive aisle straddling the property line and the stacking lanes, we could add a little slip lane for people to pull out. It would not be fully per the code, which wants a full bypass around, but it would give that little slip lane out if that's something that you feel more comfortable with. And again, I think that would be something that we could easily add if needed.
Thank you.
Mr. Barmes?
How many locations do you have in Citrus County?
Ooh, that's like a Google search string. I don't know.
Does any of the Take 5 locations in Citrus County have a bypass lane?
I don't know.
How many employees are typically employed at a Take 5?
I believe it's somewhere between 4 and 5, depending on the shift.
And then how many parking spaces are you allowing?
Right now we have 6, code requires 5.
And then have you any knowledge of, have they upgraded their storage tanks?
For the oil, used
for the
oil? I don't know the answer to that either.
My concern is the location and no bypass lanes. And I'll tell you why the location is because it's a coastal high hazard area, for one. And it's, to piggyback on Commissioner Bozeman, he asked some of the questions I was going to ask. Mm-hmm. In 2018, in Hurricane Michael in Panama City, Take 5 took a big hit, had an oil spill. Are you familiar with that?
I'm not. Was it one of the stores similar to this?
Yes.
Yeah.
In 2021 in Lee County, they had the same situation, not only with your Take 5, but with another oil. Mm-hmm. I just want to know what kind of new safeguards have been added to protect the environmental areas around your stores.
I don't know the answer to that, and that might be something we if necessary, would have to supplement and give the staff or come back and give to you at another meeting. But I don't have the answer to that. The internal operations of how they have those oil containment systems, I'm not familiar with.
All right, and then my last question. Nope, I don't have it. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Stone, questions?
No, I don't have any issue with the absence of a escape lane. If somebody needed to get out of line, just go to the attendant, they push some cars around, the guy backs out or goes wherever he needs to. The oil, though, is a concern, and based upon their past experience, it would seem we would want some of that detail before we approve this.
Ms. Murphy?
I agree.
Okay. A lot of my questions were also answered that were asked by Mr. Bozeman. I mean, so you're not actually the engineer of record.
No, I'm an engineer of record for civil, but
Civil, okay.
the containment and how the building operates
Structural.
is inside the building and
Okay, so
not
you're-
on the site. So stormwater, water, sewer, traffic, stuff like that, I can
Right.
answer. But the expertise that you're asking specifically isn't here. I can get them here though. So if the board needs to hear how they're doing their containment and what they can ensure. Which were those two incidents? You said Panama City and Lee County?
Yeah, it was Hurricane Michael in 2018 in Panama City, Lee County, 2 locations, in 2021 for Hurricane Ian.
Yeah, you did include in the backup, there was some elevation drawings, and it looks like around that area, it's around 11, and you're right, the base flood elevation requirement is, what, 10? But yeah, I would like to know if the holding tanks are above that base flood elevation.
How they
and
work.
how you would, yeah. So, coastal high hazard area, usually looking more at evacuation, but this isn't a flood hazard zone, and the coastal high hazard area are areas that are prone to becoming very wet. So, yeah, those are my concerns as well.
It's a tidal floodplain area. With the gas station directly to the south of us, also in the coastal high hazard area, knowing that anything that Take 5 does has to meet all regulations, and that they have the history, and those are some major storms that came through, so I can ask them about that. But it seems like it's probably a good thing to continue to come back before the board, and I can have representatives from Take 5 here and provide staff with more detail to supplement the reports that you have. That way you can make an informed decision.
Is there a consensus to allow the
that's a
applicant
good
to
idea.
continue?
Make a motion to.
Okay, so we will then, okay, I'll make a motion to continue this to a future advertised date.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any in opposition? Okay, motion carries 7-0 to continue.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Is there any other business to come before the
Yes.
commission?
Yes, all right.
And then
So your very next meeting, March 5th, that is the Deltona application, Holder Industrial Park, potential data center use. So it's coming on March 5th. There's 2 applications. It's the only show in town. We are getting the overflow room for you, but public input so far has been very, very light, but we'll see. So that's March 5th, so, be ready, bring snacks, whatever. I'm sorry I don't have them for you. The second meeting in March has 2 applications, but your first meeting, April's a tough one for you, just letting you know ahead of time. 4-2, on April 2nd, we have 4 applications, including one proposing a brand-new land use district in the comp plan. And on 4/16, we have moved the asphalt plant to 4/16 so they can have more time instead of sitting around here for 4 applications. The asphalt plant's been in the news quite a bit on 495. That is going to be on April 16th. We have one other application before it, and then we'll be jumping into asphalt plants.
What's that other application?
It is a conditional use for tower, I think? Cell tower, yeah. But I don't think it'll be very much. I can't move anything more, unfortunately.
I was just wondering
Yeah.
what it was.
Yeah, I had to shift things around a bit to get them to be not on that 4 application meeting. So thank you guys, great comments. I appreciate all of the thought y'all give for all of them. The second one was exhausting, so thank you very much for that. Mr. Land, do you have anything you wanted to address with them? Okay.
No.
Just warning you, April, wow. So be ready, but your next meeting as well.
So question.
Commission comments.
On the March 2nd, you referenced data.
March 5th.
Pardon me, March 5th. Oh, almost the second.
Yeah.
All right, so you mentioned this is a change in land use in the area surrounding Holder, but it's not for the data center itself.
No.
Right. Data center is a list of allowable uses you would be considering.
Got it?
Okay.
There's two applications. One is a rezoning with no site plan, and the other one is to change the text of the comprehensive plan.
It does have a site plan. It's called a sub-area plan, and it'll go in the comp plan. So there is a site plan, but it's not the detail that you're used to. It's a sub-area plan, so it's very much a bubble.
Would it be a bubble plan for a data center?
I'm sorry?
a bubble plan for a data center or for
A
anything?
bubble plan for any
industrial?
industrial uses listed in that application. You'll be considering a list of allowable uses.
They're two separate applications, right?
The other one is to extend the planned service area to accommodate this area. That's a text change in your comp plan. And then the other one, the one is going to be a zoning and comprehensive plan amendment change and the sub-area plan, which is a pseudo site plan, PUD, but with a list of allowable uses and a lot of conditions, et cetera.
And the allowable use then would include data
Does
center.
include data center and data center utilities. Those are two of the new ones that they've added, yes.
But it is two separate votes.
Separate applications, but we will, yeah, so have to do separate votes, but we probably hear them together. They are very much overlapping.
Any,
Well, I was hoping you wouldn't say.
I'm sorry.
any further discussion?
Other than bring snacks.
Snacks?
April absolutely bring snacks. So.
We don't need a motion to adjourn, right? I can just adjourn.
Just adjourn.
We're adjourned at 11:58. Thank you.